Check in with Sal Palantonio. Sal?
Yeah, Boomer, 45 straight starts for Eli Manning. That's fourth best current streak among starting quarterbacks. But Tom Coughlin told me he must start better in the first half. That offense of the Giants has not gotten into the end zone in the first quarter since their first drive way back in week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys. As a matter of fact, they've scored only 43 points of their 123 thus far this year in the first half, and they've been down 17-7, Coughlin told me. Going into halftime locker room, he said we must focus early and finish late, or else we are going to have problems week in and week out producing on offense. Now for a report on the Falcons, here's Bob Holtzman.
Well, Sal, Byron Leftwich, as mentioned earlier, the third quarterback here tonight, and Bobby Petrino insists there is no quarterback controversy, but it doesn't sound that way when you talk to Leftwich. I just did that a few minutes ago. He told me I was brought here for a reason. I've proven I can win in this league when I'm healthy, and I'm healthy now. Leftwich says it's taken a while to learn Bobby Petrino's playbook, but he says he now knows it well enough to manage an entire game. And Leftwich says, I have so many chips on my shoulder, I can't wait to get out there and play. Chris, it probably won't happen tonight since he's listed as a third quarterback, but then again, you never know. He was number 3 last week and brought in relief.
Right? You do never know. As Joaquin Andujar once said about baseball, you can sum it up in one word. You never know. Now, time to bring you to the field pass. Plexico Burress, he's been injured a lot, but he's out there tonight. Tommy, he's caught 7 touchdowns. Key, I mean, obviously a huge target.
He's a big target tonight. I think he'll go up against D'Angelo Hall, and if he continues to play like he's played all year long, I don't see why he can continue to just stay on pace to have a Pro Bowl type season. The one thing that he has to do is stay consistent throughout the year and help this team get into the playoffs and not get frustrated if things don't happen the way he wants them to.
On the other side of the ball, speaking about a guy who's a playmaker, we saw a couple of weeks ago against the young tackle Winston Justice, there was none. Osi Umenyiora 6 sacks in one game. He's, shall we say, got all the sacks in different ways, didn't he, Bill?
Hey, this guy's a tremendous pass rusher. He's quick, he's explosive, he's improved his run defense, and I think the Falcons got to do whatever it takes. 1, 2, maybe even 3 guys. They've got to take this guy and stop him from rushing the quarterback tonight, or he will wreck the game by himself.
Well, Steve Young, you're Joey Harrington. Umenyiora and Strahan will be chasing you all night. Other than prayer, Steve, and and a good charge, what do you do?
Well, prayer's a good idea. I remember a coach coming in and telling me, please be careful, you could get hurt today when I played the Chicago Bears back in 1985. The coach might be telling Joey Harrington the same thing tonight. Joey's a veteran player. He knows he's got to demand dynamic play calling from his coach, Bobby Petrino, to get him out of trouble. He cannot stand him back there and just take the hits because that's not fair. Joey's the 6th head coach in 6 years. I think he's weathered that storm very well. He's upbeat. He's excited. He thinks he's playing pretty good football, maybe the best of his career. And if you look at the numbers, it might be true. Tonight's a nice test on national TV for Joey Harrington.
All right, Steve, Michael Strahan, you mentioned Umenyiora and Strahan. Tom, they know where Harrington lives, right there in the pocket.
Yeah, and in his 15th season, obviously you lose a little bit in terms of your speed and quickness off the football, but he's still a guy that has to be accounted for in that defensive line to bookend to Osi Umenyiora. So Umenyiora doesn't get all the attention. He'll get a chance to have some success, and I think really the undisputed leader on the defensive side of the football for the Giants.
Hey, Emmett, Jeremy Shockey plays with a lot of emotion. Sometimes it gets him in trouble. Do you want him to temper it or just play with what he's got?
No, you want Jeremy Shockey to play with what he has right now because that emotion is what's driving this team. He is the emotional leader for this team. He also brings a lot of attitude to this ball club. He has, as you can see, he has 18 catches for 230 yards. He is a guy that does not shy down from anybody. And so to me, he's a guy that you want to play football with. He's just like the Michael Irvin.
Well, the Giant fan won the arm wrestling at the beginning of our show, and the road team has won this game 11 straight in this series. Our picks coming up.
the Atlanta Falcons. It's only mid-October. Another one on this Monday night with the Giants in town here in the Georgia Dome. Hi, everyone. Mike Tirico. Welcome to Monday Night Football. The Giants, they gave the New York City headline writers enough turmoil last year to keep them busy all year. Looked like they were heading down the same path with an 0-2 start, but they've won the last three. A win here. They're only a game behind Dallas in the NFC East race. Looks pretty tasty. Meantime, the Falcons, they are 1-4. 3 of those losses coming by 7 points or less. Look, the Falcons, from the Michael Vick controversy right throughout, have had issues to deal with, and this week it was the question of how tight are things in the locker room. Joey Harrington is their quarterback, pulled at the end last week, but Byron Leftwich, the number 3 tonight. Harrington's under center. But Tony Kornheiser, Roger Jaworski, it's not easy for him. In front of him, 2 players making their first ever NFL start at tackle. Good luck.
Yeah, Joey will see pressure tonight. And when you look at the New York Giants, the New York Football Giants, under new defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, they are about the blitz pressure. Right now, Michael Strahan, Osi Umenyiora, they are salivating. Why, you may ask? Give it to me, Tony. Why? There you go. Well, Strahan is the Giants' all-time leading sacker. He goes up against Tyson Clable, getting his first start in the NFL at right tackle. Flip this around to the other side. Osi Umenyiora, he's going up against a rookie, undrafted free agent, Renardo Foster. And remember this, the last time Umenyiora went up against a first-time starter, it was Winston Justice of the Philadelphia Eagles. In that game, Umenyiora had 6 sacks.
Well, for the Giants quarterback, Eli Manning, things have gone okay with Plexico Burress, especially the last few games. Eli usually quiet in the background, but Tony, what if, just play what if he followed some of his other former Giant and current Giant teammates?
Recently, Tiki Barber and Michael Strahan have written books criticizing everyone in sight. It can't be long until Eli writes 1-2 entitled, "What About Me?" I imagine it would sound like this. I turned my back on San Diego for this, for backstabbing teammates and a lunatic coach. How about Tiki knocking my attempts at leadership, saying they were almost comical? Here's what's comical. That bald shrimp trying to interview people on the Today Show. He stinks. You know why Tiki's on the 4th hour? Because there's no 5th hour. And Strahan, what an overrated windbag. That gap in his teeth is from talking too much. He can't carry Osi Umenyora's jock. Coughlin, a control freak. Why do we have to be 5 minutes early to his meetings? Maybe that's why we jump off sides all the time, because we're always early. And what kind of name is Plexico? That sounds like a pharmaceutical company. What's his brother name? Glaxico? Archie and Olivia? Overrated parents. How do they like Matty Leinart now that he's out for the season, huh? You know the speed limit at Ole Miss is Archie's number 18? That's also his NFL quarterback rating. And don't get me started about Big Brother Peyton. Mr. I'll endorse anything for money. God, he's an egomaniac. Last Christmas, he sent me a tape of him on Saturday Night Live. I hate that ESPN ad where he kicks me in the behind. I should have decked him. Do you know that ESPN paid him $100 grand for that? And they paid me scale. Dumbest thing I ever did was play football. I should have been a veterinarian like I wanted.
That's, of course, what Eli would say.
Oh, yeah. Not you. Eli.
Other funny stuff tonight. Jimmy Kimmel's going to join us here in the booth in Atlanta, and some of the soundtracks for Monday Night Football from Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Santana. This telecast available in high definition on ESPN HD, presented by DLP HD TV. Bobby Petrino used to work for Tom Coughlin. They both have work to do with their teams. For more on Coughlin's story, here's Susie Colbert.
Mike, in Tom Coughlin's first season as head coach of the Giants, his rules were so strict, his players were more concerned with being 5 minutes early to a meeting and were they wearing the correct socks on a plane than they were with playing football. They felt like they didn't have a voice. Even back then, Michael Strahan said to him, "You tell me you hear me while you're losing your team. Do you hear me now?" Coughlin finally got it at the end of last season. He told us it was ridiculous. Every headline was about me. Obviously, it was something I needed to correct. Strahan, believing Coughlin was the last person who would ever change, says it's even more extreme than he expected, like he went from android to human. Coughlin is spending more time with his players. They have a voice. Rules are there, but more bendable. He's even telling jokes. With the Falcons story, here's Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Susie, a couple of players went public with their frustrations about the coaching staff. So the question here in Atlanta, has Bobby Petrino lost his locker room? Now, linebacker Keith Brooking a team captain, has told me that's absolutely ridiculous. But three-time Pro Bowl running back Warrick Dunn has said to me, a college coach has used to doing things a certain way, but we're grown men. He's not coaching kids. No one really talks to him. He's always watching film. There's not a lot of interaction in the meeting rooms, but I think he's learning it's a long season and it can't be football all day long. Pro Bowl tight end Algie Crumpler, one of the players who publicly questioned Petrino, said the coach has asked him 3 times this week if he's doing okay. Mike, Crumpler said that may be a sign something is changing.
Michelle, with all the change, we go for constant in the all-tail head-to-head. Giants punter Jeff Fiegels plays his NFL record, 310th straight game. Morton Anderson extends his NFL record, most games played ever. Kickoff coming.
An open letter to Eli Manning, quarterback of the New York Giants. Dear Eli, you have the coolest job on the planet. You play the marquee position in the biggest market in the NFL, and yet we never hear from you. You're the quarterback, former #1 draft pick, and yet nothing, not a peep. Now, Eli, I played football. I was adored by millions. Single-handedly led my team to a national championship. Well, actually, I was a freshman that year. I only got in on 2 plays. But the point is, I know there's an inner Eli deep down inside screaming to be let out. So, Eli Manning, what do you have to say? Sincerely, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Dear Dwayne, thank you for your recent open letter. In response, I only have this to say.
New open letter. Dear Atlanta Falcons, apparently Eli Manning plans on doing his talking on the field. You guys better have a good game plan.
The Rock, rocking him at the box office over the last few weeks. Eli and the offense will have to wait for a moment as the Falcons in black take the field first against Michael Strahan and the Giants defense. Giants 3-2, Falcons 1-4, and off we go from Atlanta. Giant kickoff coverage has been a problem, so the short kick fielded by Jarius Norwood, who is hemmed in and brought down at the 30-yard line by Dominic Hickson, who started this season returning kicks for the Denver Broncos. So here's Joey Harrington, former #3 overall pick of the National Football League draft in 2002 by Detroit. 4 frustrating seasons there. A season of almost detox in Miami to get the Detroit experience out of him. And Joey wasn't bad. He was a game under 500 with the Dolphins last year. And remember, those 2 rookie or first-time starting, offensive tackles in the lineup tonight. A toss to Dunn. And Warrick Dunn starts the night with a gain of 6.5 as O.C. Umenyiora comes off that defensive end and makes us stop.
All right, you'll see Algie Crumpler, number 83 at the top of your screen, gets the down block to the inside. That gives a little running room. That's all you want to do. Give that little seam to the running back. You don't get holes in the National Football League. You get a seam.
And it's going to be a night to give the tackles help with tight ends and running backs for the Falcons on offense. Officially a gain of 6, 2nd and 4.
The Falcons are in 3 wide, the offset eye.
And the first throw, short throw, hauled in by Roddy White. First down as he's taken out of bounds at the 44-yard line by Sam Madison. Pick up there, 8 yards. This Atlanta offense has struggled thus far in their first 5 games, limited to under 14 points a game and 291 yards. It's not exactly a house-on-fire offense in prior years, but it's really struggled on the offensive side this year.
1 first down counts as a big drive for them this year because they don't score any points and they don't move.
You saw the touchdown number. Only Buffalo fewer offensive touchdowns in the league. Pressure shown, pressure comes. Harrington rid of it to White again. First down, Roddy White. Gain of 10 in front of Sam Madison. Roddy White leading this team. The once enigmatic receiver in his first 2 years. He's caught 23 balls in 07.
Excellent job by Joey Harrington understanding the blitz was coming. They went to the 3-step drop. The ball is out of his hand in 1.5 seconds. The little stop route to Roddy White. Another first down for the Atlanta Falcons. I'm kind of surprised they are spreading their offense out. You'll see right here a 3-wide look, although Blakely, number 85, is split at the top of the screen. Normally with those young, inexperienced tackles, you would think they would think protection first. They are not.
Blakely is Dwayne Blakely, the tight end. Harrington down the seam. Caught by Joe Horn, the veteran to the 31. First down in front of Jabril Wilson. A gain of 14 and a very solid drive for the Falcons.
Jaws, I thought that the tackles were vulnerable, and these guys were going to be in Harrington's face all night long, knocking him out, knocking him in the face.
They were not there. Tyson Clabo, number 77, did an outstanding job on Michael Strahan, pushed him to the outside. Joey stepped up in the pocket. Zone defense. Joe Horn read that nice little hole, sat down, and Joey threw it perfectly.
Play 5 of this opening drive. Back to the ground. And the 11-year veteran, Warwick Dunn, gains 2 yards. Antonio Pierce the tackle. Here are the 10 starters surrounding Joey Harrington on the Falcons offense.
Starting with the offensive line, making his first start in the NFL, Renardo Foster. At left guard, we got Justin Mookie Blaylock. At center is Todd McClure. Right guard, Keenan Forney. And at right tackle is Tyson Clabo. Our skill position players are made up of a core group of veterans led by Algie Crumpler, Joe Horn, and Warwick Dunn in the backfield.
Split out with 4 away from the line. And Harrington's throws off the hands of White. And incomplete. For a couple of years, Roddy White had been bothered by drops. One comes to mind last year when the younger Jim Mora was the head coach here in Atlanta against New Orleans. When White dropped a short touchdown, Mora went down to a knee. That's one of those memorable moments from last year. Bobby Petrino's seen White catch more balls this year, but he couldn't hang on there.
To be fair, for 2 years he was a bust. He had only 59 catches total, 3 touchdowns, and none last year. So this year, it seems like he's from heaven.
It's about opportunities, Tony. He's getting opportunities. He did drop that ball. Joey made a nice read. Backside of the cluster formation. Found the isolation route. Roddy dropped the ball.
Play clock running down. Giants will bring pressure on a passing down. Harrington getting rid of it quick. LaRon Robinson, rookie, didn't come down with the second foot. Robinson, the 3rd-round pick out of Illinois State. 1 foot in. Second one not out. Field goal attempt coming.
You'll see LaRon go up, grabs the football, 1 inbounds, 1 out of bounds. You need them both inbounds. An excellent effort by LaRon on that catch. Almost came up with it. Robinson going high. Tony just couldn't get the toes down.
Here comes the man who scored the most points in the history of the National Football League. 47-year-old Morton Anderson to kick a 47-yard field goal.
What symmetry in that, huh, Mike?
Out of the Michael Kanan hold. Is it long enough? Yes, it is. That's like a golf thing. When you can shoot your age, it's good. You can kick a field goal range.
That's right. By 1 inch. By 1 inch.
It was good.
Morton Anderson's goal is to be the oldest player to play in NFL history. That was George Blanda at 50. He's the 2nd oldest and just has enough leg to make it from 47 and a half and get Joey Harrington, who went 3 of 5 on that drive, and his team on the board first.
I said he cleared it by 1 inch. He didn't clear it.
No,
he didn't clear it. It hit the bar.
So I guess we know the limit on his range tonight.
Right,
47? Yeah. Look at him.
You know, I remember back in 1983 when I was playing with the Philadelphia Eagles, Morton Anderson kicked a 53-yarder in overtime to beat us 24 years ago.
Boy, that is, he was old. Reuben Drones back for the kickoff. He's old enough to have beaten you with a kick in a game. Virtually ancient.
Well, thanks, Mike.
Welcome. Drones has a little seam to return and is brought down by Tony Taylor, the linebacker. Giants and Eli Manning will take over at their own 27-yard line. Another in a series of dry and beautiful days outside today and this evening here in downtown Atlanta as the Giants get their first crack on offense. Eli Manning in a drive start from his own 27-yard line. Big Brandon Jacobs back in the starting lineup, and he gains 2 as he runs to the left side. Jacobs, who was injured in the Dallas game, missed 3+ games, now coming back, had 100 yards against the Jets, and he is shaken up on that very first carry here tonight.
The Giants have evolved into a power running team, and why not when you have a Brandon Jacobs at 264 and a Derek Ward at 228.
Ward will come in now as they look at Jacobs on the sideline. Second tight end Michael Matthews back in Atlanta. Georgia Tech alum. Pass deflected by John Abraham on the defensive line and incomplete. The former Jet Pro Bowler in his second year down here with the Falcons, getting in the way of Eli Manning, who is 23-21 in his career as a starter. You see his numbers on the season, had a very poor start to the game against the Jets on Sunday, but a strong second half as the Giants beat the Jets 35-24. Sonoris Moss gets the receiver screen, got a block from Shockey and some offensive line blocks as he's pulled down by Michael Boley. The spot is very close to the yellow line, and I think they're short of the first down.
Sonoris Moss is very quick, and I believe in this game you'll see a little package developed for him to get him the ball on the perimeter. You'll see him right here getting the ball. There's a kick-out block from Shockey. Sonoris Moss tries to cut it up inside. He does, but just a hair short, it looks like, of the first down. See a nice kick-out block by number 80, Jeremy Shockey. Sonoris Moss right there has a dive, drive. Of course, he's not the biggest guy in the world at 185 pounds, but you need to lay out.
A full foot short, and Tom Coughlin will send out the punting unit for the Giants. So this Falcon defense, probably the least talked about of the 4 units tonight, doing a good job in the opening series.
And also, they get, Rod Coleman, who's been out, back at that tackle position. It gives them a better rotation, Mike, and that's always the key. Good defense on the defense line like to rotate 6 and 7 players up there, keep them fresh.
Back deep to receive Adam Jennings. You saw the number for Jeff Fiegels, 63,800 yards punting. That's enough to punt from Giant Stadium to John F. Kennedy International Airport in Queens and have 4 miles left over. 36 miles of punts. He gets run into here, and a marker's down. Let's see if it's running into the kicker. It'll be a first down no matter what, as the tackle is made downfield on Jennings by Kevin Dockery.
Roughing the kicker, number 58-1 of the defense. 15-yard penalty, first down.
DeMario Williams going for the block extends the drive for the Giants with a 15-yard flag.
Can you go back over that thing from Kennedy Airport to Giants? What was that again?
Sure. Here's the flag, the unprotected kicker, and you go into him like that. Certainly continuing the dive. It's an easy call for the 15 yards on that one. 63,000 yards in miles would be punting from Giant Stadium to JFK in New York, and then 4 miles left over.
I never heard it expressed quite that way before. Fiegels is the oldest punter in the league, right? And Morton Anderson is old enough to be his grandfather. That's how old Morton Anderson is.
But he draws the flag, and DeMario Williams with a big mistake, keeping a Giant drive alive and taking them into Falcon territory for the first time. Manning pressured, had to get rid of it, almost threw it to Jamal Anderson, the rookie first-round pick out of Arkansas, number 8 overall. Here's the center, Sean O'Hara, with the rest of the Giants offense.
Starting on the left side, the real deal, still hurting from the Iowa loss. Then everyone's favorite, Rich Soybert. To the right, Chris No Mercy Sneed, followed by Suge Knight. Tight end, Wild Child. Receivers, the GOAT, and Plaxico, no Praxico. At quarterback, our leader, Easy E.
Who's had 2 passes knocked down at the line of scrimmage tonight already by the Falcons. And Derek Ward searching, only gains a yard. Lewis Sanders, the corner, helps clean it up with Michael Boley in there. I mentioned those 2 passes knocked down at the line of Eli Manning. The Falcons had not had a pass knocked down by their defensive line all year.
Very
interesting. 2 here on this opening drive.
And because the first one that was knocked down was that smoke that we always talk about. A running play was called. Eli just stood up and was trying to throw the ball to Plaxico Burress on the outside. The last knockdown was on a screen play. So it's real clear right now that the Atlanta Falcons are watching Eli Manning's eyes and trying to beat on where he's going with the football.
Play clock, as you see, winding down. Manning had Toomer and Burress to the top, and it is a catch for Plaxico Burress and a first down for the Giants at the 32-yard line.
It was a great line where he said we called him Plexico, not Praxiso, or whatever, because he doesn't practice because his ankle is bad. He goes all week long without practicing, comes out in the game, and has 7 touchdown catches this year. Wouldn't you like a guy like that, Charles?
No question, but I'd still rather have a guy to practice with. But you can see right there, despite missing practice, he ran an excellent dig route, got the first down, and even with the sore foot, he can plant in the ground and make that break. and beat Chris Crocker for the first down.
Out of the gun from the 32. 5 rushes picked up. The pass is complete to Amani Toomer. Didn't catch one last week. Has 1 for 10 and a first down there. And here's the Atlanta defense with Lawyer Malloy, the veteran safety, on the intro.
Welcome to the ATL, Mike. Our defensive line, we got Grady. You gonna eat that? Jackson. We got defensive end, John. I'm gonna get you sucker, Abraham. At middle linebacker, we got Georgia's own, homegrown, Keith Brookins. At the Sam linebacker, we got Michael Too Smooth Bowden. In the secondary, we have self-proclaimed best in the game, D'Angelo Hall. And that strong safety, you got me. Osler.
Burris with the catch right in front of the opposite corner, Lewis Sanders. And he gains about 5 yards. It'll be 2nd and 5. And just to clean up the Lawyer Malloy introduction of himself as O-Slayer, that's his gamer tag. And I know you guys know what that means, right?
Sure, Mike, but for the kids that don't know.
His release when he gets away from football is to go play video games online like Xbox, and O-Slayer is his gamer tag. So if you see O-Slayer online while you're gaming, it's Lawyer.
Tony and I ask our sons.
Second and 5 from the 17. Derek Ward still in for the injured Brandon Jacobs. And a penalty marker comes down. He'll leave your officer.
Number 66 offense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Susie Colbert.
Mike, we saw Brandon Jacobs come off the field after the first series holding his shoulder. He immediately kneeled when he got to the sideline, surrounded by team trainers, the team doctor. They tested his left shoulder. They rolled his neck, and he winced in pain, but then walked away with his helmet, appeared to be okay. They're calling it a burner, and he's back in the game.
Okay, Susie, just 26 carries for Jacobs in the first games because of the knee injury. Second and 10 after the flag. And Manning gets time. Shockey in the middle. Submarined by D'Angelo Hall. And Shockey's right at the first down line at the 12-yard line.
Excellent job by Eli Manning. The Giants overloaded their formation to the left. They drew coverage to the left side. He reads that coverage coming over. He comes back to the right. And there's Jeremy Shockey doing a nice job of sitting in the hole wide open. You'll see Shockey right here. Gets a good release back to the inside. He fields his own coverage. Really good job of sitting in the hole. Eli saw it all the way.
4th different Giant receiver to catch it on this drive, kept alive by the DeMario Williams roughing the kicker penalty. Jacobs seeking in the big back, hounds down to the 5. It'll be 2nd and about 3. 6'4", 264. He's bigger than all but one linebacker on his own team. If you saw me, he walked into a room saying, you go over by the tight ends or the defensive ends, not the running backs.
If I saw him walk into a room, I would get out of the room. It's as simple as that. Just get out of the room. Give him whatever he wants to eat. It's fine with me. I'm gone.
Over the last 3 weeks, they've been very effective running the football to the right side behind Chris Mee, the right guard, who's having a terrific season.
Fullback Madison Hedgecock offset to the right, leading the way on the play action. Toss for a touchdown by Amani Toomer. No catches last week. His first touchdown of the season, and the Giants take the lead on a Toomer 6-pointer.
If you are Bobby Petrino, you say this happens, it seems, every game. That drive is kept alive by a ridiculous penalty, personal foul, nailing the kicker, nailing the punter, and then the Giants take a big lead here. And they lose games, by the way, by 1 touchdown or fewer points than that.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Tony, on that touchdown pass, it was DeMario Williams who had the personal foul. That was a linebacker that got sucked in by the play-action fake and allowed Toomer to get behind him.
And Amani Toomer, a Giants record that has stood for a half century. I'll tell you about it after the break. Back on Monday Night Football in Atlanta, the Giants trying to get within a game of Dallas in the NFC East, come down the field and get a touchdown after Atlanta opened with a field goal. The touchdown, the 48th career touchdown reception for Amani Toomer, ties the legendary Kyle Rote, a record that has stood for a half century, the most touchdown receptions in the New York Football Giants history.
You and I grew up in New York, and we know the name Kyle Rote. What we also know about Kyle Rote is that he was so well thought of by his teammates over a long period of time that about 10 or 12 guys named their sons Kyle after him.
Right.
He was that well thought of, and I have to say I'm sort of stunned that the record was that small, given how long the Giants had been around. Only be 48. That's a good point.
Another short left kickoff. This is by design tonight for the Giants. Norwood from the 16 got across the 30 to the 33-yard line. So Toomer, third time in his career that he didn't catch a pass last week. Catches a money one here tonight.
ESPN's Monday Night Football is brought to you by Budweiser, the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Open up a world of taste. Mazda, always the soul of a sports car. Men's Warehouse, you're going to like the way you look. Visit tmw.com for the store nearest you. And Zurich, because change happens.
Famed restaurant, the Varsity, the busiest airport in the world, Hartsfield International Airport. Peach of a city, Atlanta, Georgia. Downtown look at this city on this Monday night. Each team has scored on its opening possession. The Falcons a field goal, the Giants a touchdown. Big Blue up 4. Joey Harrington hands to Jarius Norwood with big speed and a great open field move. Norwood taking it the distance. Touchdown. 67 yards. Great block by LaRon Robinson, the receiver. Remember last year on a 90-yard Warwick Dunn touchdown run against the Giants in this building.
When you have big runs, it's because receivers are working downfield. Watch LaRon Robinson hustling, great effort, gets the block on Sam Madison, allowing Jarius Norwood to take it to the house.
Morton Anderson adds the extra point. So bang, bang, 18 seconds after the Giants touchdown. A response from the second-year man out of Mississippi State, Jarius Norwood, with a touchdown. Explosive start here in the Georgia Dome with field goals from senior citizens, block punt or punts that turn into 15-yard penalties, keeping drives alive. And another home run by a guy who's developing the reputation of a home run hitter in Jarius Norwood.
The Atlanta Falcons last year were the #1 team in rushing in the league. Obviously, they lost a lot of yardage without Michael Vick. This year, they've been 22nd in rushing. They're the only team in the league that has not had 100 yards rushing as a team all season. The only one. They got 75 now. This is going to be their best offensive rushing.
However, Tony, a year ago, they were dead last passing. They're much better this year throwing the football, and you want to have a more balanced offense.
Michael Hayden's kickoff, Ruben Drone's return. Flag comes down. Drone stays up on the hit by David Irons. Irons stoned him but couldn't knock him down. Finally, Drones came down at the 29, and here's the flag.
During the return, holding, number 42 of the receiving team. 10-yard penalty from the dead ball spot, first down.
Giants will start back at their own 19. Jaws takes us back to the score.
I really like the design of this play. You'll see a little window dressing with Dwayne Blakely coming across the formation. That means Matthias Kiwanuka is going to come across as well. It kind of softens up the edge a little bit right there and allows L.J. Crumford to get a good down block on Michael Strahan. Once he gets the down block, you see Tyson Clabo come around, seal it, and then you have the lane, the alley, as Vince Lombardi would like to say, Tony. Lombardi plugged in tonight.
Eli Manning in the offense, back to work. Brandon Jacobs has big room to run. He takes it out to the 37-yard line. Pickup of 19, and here's Michelle Tafoya.
Just a lot of excitement on the Falcons sideline, guys. And you look at Joey Harrington. He was standing there watching the replay on the big board saying, wow, of that Jarius Norwood touchdown. I felt like this offense felt relieved that they didn't have to go right back out onto the field and work anymore. They just got a little bit of a break. The offensive line, the youngsters get to talk a little bit more. And Jarius Norwood, welcome to the bench. bench with lots of applause.
His big touchdowns last year came in fourth quarters of games. This one in the first. Giants trying to respond. Now Jacobs to the right. D'Angelo Hall goes low to submarine him. But a pickup of 5 for the big back for Big Blue.
You know, the constant for the Atlanta Falcons so far this season, a disappointing season, has been their defense. Right now, the offense came out with a big play. They've got this crowd back into it. The defense must bow their backs and get a stop.
The offense has been virtually non-existent. They're 28th in scoring in the league. Until that point, they'd only had 5 offensive touchdowns the whole year.
You know, I love when you're a historian. I need more pioneers. I need more pioneers that look to the future.
Second and 5 against a 5-man rush. Lots of time and a wide open Plexico Burress at the 39. First down and a pickup of 18.
Mike, you said it best. He had lots of time. Eli Manning back in the pocket, had a very comfortable cradle to throw from. It allowed Plexico Burress to work deep down the field. This is an 18 to 20 yard in. The quarterback's going to need about 3 seconds to throw the football. Look at that pocket. Eli can plant, step, and deliver the football with tremendous velocity if he gets that kind of time.
Manning's in his last 6. Last 7, and Shockey on the run through the secondary to the 17-yard line. Chris Crocker brings him down for the Giants with plays of 19, 20, and 21 on this drive.
Can you say explosive? That's what the New York Football Giants offense is right now.
You're so excited.
It's offense.
You're so
it's
excited.
Offense.
The first quarter of the game, and you're so
excited. We got
excited.
points. We got yards.
We have to decaffeinate you at some point.
This is like the Chuck and Duck offense. I love it.
Officially marked back at the 18. The game is 21. And in the red zone, Manning stops and throws a rocket. Feet it down, yes. Toomer at the 1, first and goal, right in front of D'Angelo Hall, who's getting worked on here tonight. First and goal at the 1.
Really nice job by Amani Toomer, sensing the sideline. He plants the left foot and drags the toe with the right foot. And what a throw from Eli Manning. Play action to the left, rolls out to the right, buys some time, and Amani Toomer does an outstanding job along the sideline. Every day this is worked on in practice, Tony. Sorry for getting so excited, but it's nice when things you work on actually work during the game.
Reuben Drones joins Madison Hedgecock in the backfield. And here is the former Cleveland Brown, Reuben Drones, into the end zone for the 3rd time this year. And the Giants respond quickly.
Let's take this out a little bit wider. This is what New York Giants fans have waited for. Can Eli Manning be this kind of quarterback? Can he respond when another team goes the length of the field, even if you only do it in one play? Will he bring his team steadily down the field? Twice now, Eli Manning has shown Giant fans who are very critical of him that he is a #1 quarterback for them. This is a big-time response, right, George?
He has responded, as you said, in a very positive way.
Yes.
Lawrence Tynes able to kick that extra point through, even though the laces were facing him. That was not a good snap hold, but he's able to make it through. 14-10 Giants. Well, you saw a couple of big plays by Eli Manning coming on play action. That is nothing new. Play action passes, the passer rating for Manning, look at 05, and then 06, and then 07. Significantly better, and of course, the passer rating is that one number that encompasses all the stats, the attempts, the completions, the touchdowns, the interception percentage. So much better on play action than all the other passes, and 2 big ones there tonight on play action.
And Mike, there's a reason for that. We tend to forget this is only the 4th year for Eli Manning. When you use play action passing, it eliminates probably half the field. You go to either or reading. You stick the ball out, you make your play fake. Your back is to the defense. You have to turn around and locate the coverage and the receivers. So coaches don't give you too much to read. You come out and either throw it here or throw it there, and he's very effective doing that.
You make the point that it is only his 4th year, but no other quarterback in the league is burdened by being the younger brother of Peyton Manning. And so much is expected of Eli Manning all the time. Every time he has a drive like that, people in New York think this. Is this the turnaround game? Is this the time that Eli Manning turns the corner and blossoms into the great quarterback that his name requires him to be? That's a lot of pressure, Jaws. That's a lot of pressure.
But he has played well. He hasn't played poorly, or he hasn't played
I'm just saying, he doesn't get the 4 years that a normal 4-year quarterback gets. He gets less because his name is Manning.
This time a line drive, very returnable kick. Norwood, who had the touchdown a moment ago, tackled at the 24 by Zach Diossi, son of Steve Diossi, former Giant. Here's Susan.
Mike, as The Rock said in the beginning of the show, Eli Manning's leadership skills have been publicly criticized. But if you want to know the difference between perception and reality, just ask his teammates. They say there's no doubt that he is in command, that he shows leadership in the locker room and on the field, and they marvel at how well he's handled the scrutiny and the pressure of New York. Much more pressure than Peyton or Dad Archie ever had to handle. It's simply that he likes to keep things in-house, so we never really hear his voice.
But in the locker room, they hear the voice and they hear laughter after the voice. A very funny guy in the locker room. Algie Crumpler was not happy with the way things were going here in Atlanta. The most vocal of the disgruntled folks with a catch from Joey Harrington and a gain of 9 in front of Matthias Kiwanuka. So Crumpler opened up his mouth last week after another frustrating loss. And of all the players here, he was the one most upset. He said, when we crossed the 50, we're the worst offense in the NFL. You can be critical of it, but he was accurate. You see, last in the NFL, 4 touchdowns, 32 possessions when they cross midfield. Norwood runs into the waiting arms of Michael Strahan and no gain.
Let me broaden that out a little bit. Algie Crumpler is the captain on the offense. His teammates think so much of him that they elected him captain. Now, when he says we're the worst offense in the league once we cross the 50, who's that a shot at? It's a shot at the coach, Bobby Petrino, who calls the plays and was brought in here to be an offensive-minded guy. And that becomes a problem when your captain says that.
Okay, he should quit whining and play. That would be my response to that. This is a team that is still developing under Bobby Petrino.
Loss of a yard, 3rd and 2. Harrington, quick toss is complete for the first down to LaRon Robinson at the 37-yard line. So Harrington able to get it.
I understand you say that as a former player, and I know you understand when a captain does that, that's a serious thing. The veterans on this team have felt a disconnect from the coach. Crumpler wondered aloud last week whether there was not a phasing out of the veterans on this team.
Oh, really? A new coach comes in. I don't care if you're a rookie or a 10-year veteran. You have to perform. This is a performance business. If you're not performing, you're going to be gone. That's simple.
First down throw is caught by the fullback Ove Muhele, formerly of the Baltimore Ravens. Only a gain of a yard. Kavika Mitchell makes the tackle, and that will bring a very exciting first quarter to an end. So our fourth quarter in Buffalo just carried over.
I like that.
This is a couple of good quarters of football on Monday night.
Can't wait till Jacksonville.
269 yards, 24 points combined in the first. It's been a great start here in Atlanta on Monday Night Football with the Giants leading the Falcons 14-10. Falcons took the first drive, scored a field goal. Boom, Giants come back with a touchdown. Falcons go 67 yards with 1 run by Jarius Norwood. Giants respond with a touchdown, and this is the next drive. 2nd and 9 as the quarter begins for Joey Harrington and the 1-4 Falcons. And against the zone, there's plenty of room for the grab made by Roddy White. Ball down before it came out, a couple of yards shy of the first down. Sam Madison making the tackle. You mentioned Atlanta getting off to this 1-4 start. They lost their first 3. It really got beaten by Minnesota 24-3, but that one went downhill at the end. 2 defensive scores by the Vikings late in that game. The bounce back, lose Jacksonville 13-7. Win here finally after losing to Carolina here. They beat Houston 26-16. They've been close in a lot of these games. That's the one thing that people have to remember when you look at the 1-4 mark. And on 3rd and a couple, Harrington, first option not open, and brought down by the Giants' pressure Fred Robbins, the defensive tackle, gets in and forces the punt.
Apropos of your point, Mike, when you start out badly like that and you have all the collateral damage of Michael Vick hanging over your head, people looking at you wondering if this team's going to be any good, and you put a rookie coach in that position, and he comes out of a recent college background, veterans may look at him and say, what does he necessarily know about the NFL? And they are quick to judge, whereas if they won, they'd accept all of these new things in the Bobby Petrino era.
All right, after this punt, I do need to respond to that.
Sure.
Michael Koenig is the punter. R.W. McQuarters calls for a fair catch. The kick was 35, no return.
Bill Belichick in New England started out 0-4 his first year. They went 5-11. Came back the second year and started out 1-3. They won a Super Bowl. Be patient with your head coach.
ESPN's Monday Night Football is brought to you by IBM. When you're ready to stop talking innovation and start doing, visit IBM.com/do. UPS. What can Brown do for you? Verizon Wireless. Text MVP to 3400 for ESPN MVP. Only from Verizon Wireless. And the United States Marine Corps. The few, the proud, the Marines.
So on the edge of this downtown Atlanta, Georgia area is the Giants and Falcons, a series that the road team has dominated in ridiculous fashion. The road team has won the last 11 meetings between the Giants and the Falcons. NFL record. Michael Matthews comes back to lead the way for Derek Ward, who runs into the waiting arms of Grady Jackson. A yard and a half there, and here's Michelle.
Well, Mike, back to this 1-4 start for the Falcons. I talked with defensive end John Abraham, who was previously with the Jets, and he said, I've been on teams in this situation. He's possibly referring to 2005, where the team started 1-3, finished 4-12. He said, I know when a team lacks that will to win, but this is not the case now. We're close, we're fighting, we have a winning mentality. We believe we're not done.
It's a Falcons team that the veterans have been asked a lot of those questions. Grady Jackson is one player who, Ron, as you studied film for this game, has shown up as a consistent big-time factor like he was on that loss.
Yeah, big is the key word right there, Mike. Grady Jackson is a plugger. He plugs up the hole inside. Here the penetration. Quickest way to stop the running game is get a guy, number 90, Grady Jackson, 6'2", 345 pounds, in the backfield. He'll make the play.
That's why he's big. They call him big. 345. There's a lot of snacking that goes into 345, Jaws.
And I think that might be a tad light.
Manning, a lot of time. The ball deflected out of his hand. Is it a fumble or an incomplete pass? No whistle is blown, so it's a fumble as Abraham came around and then recovered by Chris Crocker of the Falcons.
Well, you'll see it right here. John Abraham up against David Deal, comes around the backside, whacks the ball out of Eli's hand. And here it is right here. It looks like the ball came out before his arm was moving forward.
Tom Coughlin will challenge that. A replay was not shown on the booth, on the screen here in the Georgia Dome.
New York Giants is challenging the ruling on the field that it was a fumble.
So Coughlin, who went 0 for 2 last week in challenges, will challenge here.
But doesn't he usually win the challenges? He's got a very high percentage, so he's looking to get off the schneid right here from last week.
Was knocked out of the quarterback's hand before his hand started forward. It is a fumble. New York Giants will be charged their first timeout.
And they'll only have one challenge remaining. Tom Coughlin disbelief for this replay will clearly show what Bill Levy was talking about.
This is an unbelievable shot right here. You see the hand still coming back when Abraham hit the ball, clearly out of his hand before Eli's motion started forward. Ball out of his hand right there. See the palm coming forward without the football, clearly a fumble.
So Abraham is credited with a sack. There's a fumble on the play, and the recovery by Chris Crocker gives Atlanta the ball in great field position at the Giants' 28-yard line. And the veteran Warwick Dunn loses 3 yards as Osi Umenyiora comes in to make the tackle. Michelle?
You know, Mike, I spoke to John Abraham before the game, asking him whether he was motivated because of Strahan and Umenyiora being on the same field. He said, the answer I want to give is no, but the answer is yes. Yes, I feel like I got to outwork those guys. They're going to try to get to our quarterback like crazy. I'd like to do the same because this is going to be a tough game for us. He wanted to be politically correct, Mike. He just couldn't help himself.
Remember, Abraham injured his groin in the opener last year, limited to a half season after being traded and signing a big free agent deal here in Atlanta, or extension, I should say. Harrington takes off and able to get to the 30-yard line as Barry Cofield, the nose tackle, made the play.
But just like in baseball, though, how many times has the person that Michelle Tafoya has just finished talking about reach out and cause a fumble to get his team started?
How many times?
I would say this time, at least.
You know, Michelle was really good.
I thought that was
really
great.
good.
That was very opportunistic on Michelle's part.
3rd and a dozen. From here, a field goal is about 47 yards. And as we saw in the first quarter, that is right at the edge of Morton Anderson's field goal range. Giants bring pressure on a passing down again, and the pass is incomplete as Algie Crumpler was locked up with R.W. McQuarters, and here comes Anderson for another field goal attempt.
Mike, the Giants actually did a real good job of disguising their coverage there. I think they got Joey Harrington a little bit frenetic in the pocket. They showed that 7-man blitz. They only rushed 4, dropped into coverage, got Joey a little bit out of whack on that one.
This is at 48, right? So this is not quite in his range if the last one is an indication. Hit the bar.
It's a dome, and there's no wind going either way.
Let's see.
Trying to outkick his age. The 47-year-old Anderson, lower trajectory from 48 is short and no good. So the turnover turns into no points, and the Giants hold on. As anywhere you go, some Giants fans on hand here at the Georgia Dome. Giants and Falcons meeting as they did one season ago on this very day. Giants beating Atlanta 27-14, stopping an Atlanta 3-game run in this series between the teams. Manning from the 38 begins with a short completion of just a couple of yards to Brandon Jacobs. Keith Brookie makes the tackle. SportsCenter 30 at 30. Here's Steve Levy.
Mike, as you know, 40 is the new 30, and 40-year-old Kenny Lofton, plenty of life in his bat. He's got the big blow in the game tonight, a 2-run home run. Indians lead the Red Sox 4-0 at the top of the 7th. Game 3 of the ALCS. The Rockies will go for the sweep shortly over in the National League. NFL news, Titans quarterback Vince Young, MRI today on that strained right quadriceps muscle. Jeff Fisher saying he's day-to-day. SportsCenter coming up after the game. Mike?
Thank you. Stay current at all times with ESPN News. From the 40, it's Jacobs running left. Got a good block over on Abraham's side. They're able to get 2 yards before Keith Brookie, raised in the area, college over at Georgia Tech down the street, and now 10 years here with the Falcons, makes the tackle.
And a very active linebacker. The middle linebacker, where you're running those counter misdirection plays, must read quickly. Keith Brookie did an outstanding job right here. The play goes away from him, then he comes back the other side. This is great awareness. This is how your middle linebacker has to play. He puts a good lick on the running back.
For a 1-4 team with so many off-the-field issues, their fans have been very supportive and loud in these third-down situations tonight. Manning flushed right, throws complete for the first down. Amani Toomer takes it to Falcon territory to the 43 before Demario Williams can stop him. A pickup of 15 and a first down.
A terrific play by Eli Manning. He was flushed from the pocket. He extended the play. You'll see here comes the pressure up the middle from John Abraham. He moves out, does not panic, and delivers a strike to Amani Toomer. Real nice job by Eli of being patient once he got outside the pocket, resetting his feet, and delivering the football accurately.
And for Manning, that's 10 consecutive completions, a single-game career high. He had 9 consecutive completions in that big comeback last year at Philadelphia. And then completed his first pass the following week. So this 10 equals a career-long stretch. Now looking downfield, and Burris breaks free. Plexico Burris in the end zone again for the 8th time this year. A Giants touchdown. Play action sets up a 43-yard score.
People people say of Manning, and it's been brought up a bunch of times, is he a leader, is he not a leader? One of the things, he gets this from ex-teammates like Tiki Barber, one of the things about leadership is that here's a guy who's playing hurt. Both these guys are actually playing hurt. Manning hurt his shoulder in the first game. People thought he would be out. Plexico Burress plays once a week in the games. They now have 8 touchdowns so far this year between them.
Lawrence Tynes able to add the extra point. The veteran Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champ Lawyer Malloy got caught coming up on Burress, and Burress said, bye-bye. Giants lead by 11 as Burress takes it to the house for the 8th time this year, Ron.
Excellent play design by Kevin Gilbride, the offensive coordinator. You see maximum protection on the play-action pass. That's going to allow Plaxico Burress time to work down the field. He gets inside of Chris Houston. He gets man-to-man basically on a safety. That safety being Lawyer Malloy, who was frozen by the play-action fake. Every time you get a wide receiver matched against a safety, he is going to win. Plaxico Burress did an outstanding job of running his route off Lawyer Malloy's feet. He stopped his feet. Plaxico went right over the top. Pretty good throw, too, I might add.
So Burress from Manning for the 8th time this year. Manning's numbers eye-popping here tonight.
Those are Peyton numbers tonight.
Another kick short and left for the Falcons. A penalty marker down as Norwood's taken out of bounds. Jarius pushed to the sideline at the 29.
During the return, holding, number 85 receiving team. 10-yard penalty, spotted a foul, first down.
So as the Falcons move back, let's take you back to perspective over the last 2+ seasons now, since 05. Quarterback to receiver tandems, 25 touchdowns. Peyton Manning to Marvin Harrison, tied with Eli Manning to Plexico Burress.
That's a stunner, because you think of Peyton Manning to Marvin Harrison as good as it gets, because Randy Moss hadn't gotten to New England until this year. And to think of Eli Manning, who's always under such scrutiny, as tying Peyton Manning, big deal.
Are you coming around?
Don't get crazy. But you'd never think to put them in the same company with Peyton and Marvin Harrison. You'd think that they'd be beyond reach.
So you see the Burress numbers now, and that 8 touchdowns this year ties Randy Moss, who had 1 yesterday in the Patriots win over Dallas, for the most touchdowns in the National Football League through the first 6 weeks.
It's a long conversation. He might be calling out for something.
You're good. You're really good. Do it again. Okay?
Thought maybe he was getting a pizza.
You're only tied with Randy. You need one more.
After a 3-yard Warwick Dunn run, he tries the right side. It'll be third and a manageable 4, and here's Susie Culver.
Guys, Plex's performance even more impressive when you consider, because of the ankle, the only time he and Eli practice together is 2 hours of the game. You see them here tonight. It's working right now, but everybody kind of wonders if this will be more of an issue later in the season, because right now the routes are simple, they're making it easy, but it's tough to contribute later on when things get a little more complex in the offense. Kevin Gilbride has expressed concern about that he may not be able to grow in this offense.
Kevin Gilbride, the offensive coordinator, took over at the end of last year for the Giants with John Huffnagel. Meantime, the Falcons offense needs to sustain, and a drop by the veteran Joe Horn will set up 4th down.
What Susie said about the practice is, to quote our friend Allen Iverson, practice? We're just talking about practice here, not the game, but practice? If Plexico Burress can go out and score a touchdown every single game, Jaws, they're not going to care if he practices.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? Vinny Testaverde yesterday came in on Wednesday of this week, practiced 4 days, and played phenomenally yesterday. And most offensive coordinators would say, it takes 2 or 3 years to learn my system. Vinny's going to say, it took me 4 days.
Michael Kanan with the punt. 50 yards on the nose. R.W. McQuarters with room from the 24. Returns at 9, so the net is 41 yards as Corey McIntyre, the fullback, made the tackle. Manning and Burress, 8 times to the end zone. Back on the field when you return. last matchup of Week 7 on Monday Night Football from Jacksonville. The undefeated Colts against David Garrard, Maurice Jones-Drew, and the 4-1 Jacksonville Jaguars. Remember our two memorable Monday nights down there, how great the folks in Jacksonville were. That crowd's going to be rocking. We'll see 8:30 Eastern next Monday night. Can't wait to get down to Jacksonville and watch Maurice Jones-Drew at work. 12 carries for $125 and 2 scores against a Houston team that beat Jacksonville twice last year, a 20-point response. And do you remember, guys, the last time the Colts went down to Jacksonville? Oof, yeah. Jones-Drew had a big game. They ran for 375 yards as a team and beat the Colts 44-17.
So we're getting back-to-back Mannings.
Yes.
Week to week. Then if Archie comes out of retirement, seeing what Vinny Testaverde did, maybe 2 weeks from now, Archie will be in again.
The man who made the tackle, Corey McIntyre, is the player who's shaken up. A very good special teams player. Wears the special teams captaincy for these Falcons, and he is helped off to the far sideline.
There's a lot of guys wearing captaincies now in football. It used to just be in hockey. Now it's in every sport. That really helps the seamstresses of America to sew these things on everything.
Big series for the Falcons D.
It is a bit on the ropes. Giants have moved the ball very well, leading 21-10. And Eli Manning completes it to Derek Ward, who's almost near another first down. That's 12 consecutive completions for Eli Manning. The Giants have run 25 plays and picked up a dozen first downs here on the night.
Eli looks very, very comfortable. Setting in that pocket, good pass protection, seeing the field with great clarity, delivering the football accurately. Looks very sharp, Tony.
You were touting the Falcons' defense all day long.
Yeah, I thought that was the constant of their team. They haven't showed up so far.
Offensive coordinator, dream call, 2nd and 1. And they'll run it with Ward. Trying to fight back for the first down to Mario Williams, who had a very tough sequence on the first drive, the roughing the kicker penalty. They kept the drive alive and then saw his nose in the backfield while the play action went over his head for the touchdown. He was able to make the stop there and keep the Giants shy of the first down.
Big Brady coming back on the field.
You just have a sandwich on the sidelines and get back out quick.
Heavy defensive line presence for 3rd and less than a yard. Reuben Drones bent back. The mark is going to depend on it. The mark looks like a first down at the 44-yard line. And it is.
I'm not so sure, Mike. I'm not so sure. Yeah, from our angle, I'm going to say by 2 links on that chain.
Didn't you see the yellow line? It was over the yellow line.
I watch with my eyes.
Don't tell him.
I don't.
Just let him figure it out, okay?
What yellow line? What are you guys looking at? Okay.
At the 44. So we've seen Reuben Drones in short yardage there. Brandon Jacobs, Derek Ward just in this drive. Here's the hole they're trying to fill. Tiki Barber's average season was 400 times having it run or thrown to him and 2,000 total yards and 9 touchdowns. That was his average season over the last 5. Just the perspective on the 402 runs or catches. It's 25 times a game. That's a lot of balls you got to spread out. And thus far, especially in October, the Giants are up to the challenge. Dropped by the second tight end, the rookie from down here in Atlanta, Georgia Tech, Michael Matthews.
New York sports fans will be familiar with this analogy. That 5-year period is a Don Mattingly 5-year period.
That's good.
It's just a staggering sum where Tiki Barber essentially out of nowhere became this great back with, for those 5 years, Hall of Fame numbers. Now, I'm not saying he gets into the Hall of Fame, but in that period of time, he was a great running back and pass receiver.
Yeah, and I believe the Giants can replace the rushing yards. I don't think they can replace the receiving yards. He was a very versatile running back.
That drop by Matthews stopped Manning's completion string at a dozen. Nickel defense. One of the DBs comes underneath Sinar's Moss. Is stopped at the 49. He's going to be 3 yards shy of a first down. It's third down coming.
Now, there's another issue with Tiki Barber, of course.
That may be?
That Tiki Barber was very vocal. He was critical of coaching. He was critical of other players. And it's very possible that outside this team or inside the locker room right now, some of the Giants players are saying, okay, if we have to replace the 1,000 yards, we will, but we won't have to listen to this kind of criticism. Yes?
We kind of got that feeling.
Yes, we did.
I don't know if you put words in my mouth.
3rd and 3, man coverage on the receivers. Safety help behind. The throw is caught for the first down by Burris, who uses that big body in front of the rookie out of Arkansas, Chris Houston, to take it to the 41-yard line. That's 5 tonight to Burris, and Manning is locked in.
Once again, you'll see Eli Manning under duress. Does not break down. Slides just a little bit to his left to allow Plexico Burris to uncover. Terrific job once again. You'll see Plex working over Chris Houston on the outside. Houston, a very good bump and run type corner, but when the wide receiver gets that much time, you can't cover him that long.
Burris, remember, with that high ankle sprain on the right ankle, ambles over to his position on the near side and sees D'Angelo Hall. And Giants going to take a timeout here at the 3:51 mark. Well, obviously, with the attention on the big matchup with the undefeateds yesterday, Randy Moss and Terrell Owens, their numbers were in the forefront right throughout. But Plexico Burris right up there, past Owens in all the production columns, and nowhere near Moss in the catches and yards, but equal when it matters, getting into the end zone.
We asked him about that yesterday. Said, are you bothered by this? Said, no, not at all. And instead of Eli, he throws it over here, meaning to him, for a reason. Because he can go up and get it, right, Jaws?
Yeah, excellent job by Plexico Burris on his route running. You know, he's starting to learn. He understands what it takes to stem a route. How to give Eli Manning that hint of when he's coming out of his break so Eli can deliver the football. It is amazing to me. We've already talked about this. They are not practicing all week. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. I mean, usually a quarterback and a wide receiver have to have that chemistry, and it's usually developed via practice.
The Giants called timeout. They have one remaining. They used one for a challenge. It's 1st and 10. And on play action where Manning's been good, wants it all, wants Burris again, incomplete as D'Angelo Hall was covering up the help coming back from Chris Crocker, the free safety.
That's one of those situations where Eli Manning really trusts Plexico Burris.
Yes.
There was really good coverage on Plex on this play. You'll see D'Angelo Hall play him outside because he's got help to the inside. But Eli's not afraid to throw the football, even though Chris Crocker is coming from the inside. He trusts that Plexico Burris can take that 6'5" frame, go up, and just rip the ball from the sky. But there was good coverage by the Falcons, and Plexico could not hold on.
You just see the size difference. When the ball is in the air, he can almost go get it at will. And he's really using that size much more to his advantage.
Well, in my heyday, I had a guy, Harold Carmichael, 6'7".
I don't think the Giants beat the play clock here, and it cost them 5.
Away game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Josh, you talk about that when you had Harold Carmichael. Now, you know where he is on plays, so you've got to be thinking, I can throw a different ball here than I can where he's not.
No question about it. You develop that chemistry of what the player can catch, what the wide receiver can catch, where he likes the football, and how high he can get up. You know, a lot of guys, you know, they may be tall, but they can't jump or they don't extend their arms. Right. You know, Plexico Burris, one of those guys, he will go up with his hands. He doesn't body catch the football.
Did you actually use the phrase, in my heyday?
Yeah,
did I hear that? In your heyday?
A long time ago.
How great is that?
The flag makes it 2nd and 15. Here comes pressure. A little screen can beat it oftentimes. Derek Ward weaving, but a nice job by defensive lineman. Rookie 8th overall pick this year, Jamal Anderson, to come back and limit the gain. The Giants will have 3rd down and about 9 coming up, and a Falcon is shaken up. And it's John Abraham. Abraham, who's missed 31 games in his 7 NFL seasons, dazed for the moment.
He spent a lot of years hurt. He really has.
You know, you guys are talking about Burris a lot, and I come back to his Pittsburgh days when Plexico Burris was not, as Abraham gets up, he comes off under his own power. Burris, remember Shannon Sharp called him plexiglass at one point? He had a criticism of bad body language, but really over the last couple of years, on and off the field, he's become a leader, a dominating player at times and stretches over the last 2 seasons. We see the productivity and really changed the impression people had of him during those early Pittsburgh days.
But, Mike, some of that was deserved. He was not a guy that gave you great effort all the time. You know, I get the opportunity to look at all the coaching tape at NFL film. There were times he was not giving you all the effort. He certainly has matured to where he's now becoming one of the premier receivers in the game.
Falcons defense needs to get the Giants off the field without points.
Well, they're going to bring the heat now.
On 3rd and 8, Brooking backs out in coverage. Manning rolls it and throws it, and it is dropped. Unable to bring it in is Sonaris Moss in front of D'Angelo Hall. And these two guys have a little exchange. One went to Miami of Florida, one went to Virginia Tech, and I remember one game specifically where these guys had to hook up in their college days.
Here's what you don't want if you're D'Angelo Hall. You don't want to get a flag. No. He's been through that, and it cost him $100,000. What? Did he get 67 yards worth of penalties?
That is correct.
On one series earlier in the year. So you don't want to just jaw at somebody quite that much and risk a flag that it would have extended that drive.
Nobody's punted more in NFL history than Jeff Fiegels, and nobody's pinned the opponent inside the 20 more than Fiegels, who does both there. Here's Michelle.
You know, D'Angelo Hall told us before the season that he wanted to sort of fill the void left by Michael Vick in terms of leadership. This was not a good way to start. He got in a little bit of a jawing situation with the coaching staff after 3 penalties for 67 yards against Carolina, allowed the Panthers to score a touchdown. He still tells me he thinks his leadership quest is going good. He called that episode a setback. He apologized for it. He said, but I understand personally, I have to keep my composure.
It was a setback, that's for sure. Set him back $100,000 in the fine. Umanura pushes the pocket into Harrington and hits him as he throws incomplete. So O.C. Umanura working in, able to get pressure.
Yeah, and O.C. finally got one of those individual matchups on Renardo Foster. You could see that he just blows him right back into Joey Harrington. Joey did a nice job of stepping up and getting rid of the football. But when you're not going to give Foster any help, he's going to die. He's going to get dominated by O.C. like a lot of people do, like Winston Justice in Philadelphia.
Last 7 snaps, the Falcons have netted just 4 yards, and they cannot afford a turnover down here. They run Norwood at the big run in the first quarter, and he explodes out to the 30-yard line. Jarius Norwood, who when he has had touchdowns, they've been big ones, either 60-plus yards or 70-plus yards. If you weren't with us earlier, had the 67-yard touchdown for the Falcons' lone touch. One more in before the 2-minute warning. Pressured is Harrington. Hit and drop. Aaron Ross on a corner blitz. The first-round pick out of Texas comes up with the sack as we reach the 2-minute warning and send Tony off to prepare for PTI.
And Tom Coughlin's tribal council meeting that I have at halftime.
Stuart Scott here in Atlanta. Chris Berman back in the studio. They'll take you through the Toyota halftime show. Boomer's fastest 3 minutes, some big plays and big games yesterday. And pardon the interruption here in Atlanta. Michael Wilbon joins Tony, all coming up on the Toyota halftime show. After the sack that was credited to Aaron Ross for half a sack and Michael Strahan for half a sack, adding to his Giants record total since 1982. It's second down, and Harrington under siege, brought down by Antonio Pierce, and Joey is shaken up. Remember, the number 2 quarterback tonight is Chris Redman out of Louisville. Byron Leftwich is the number 3. Watch Pierce as the pressure comes in again, Ron.
There's no question that Steve Spagnuolo's system in New York, Steve Spagnuolo being the new defensive coordinator, is about pressure. Overload blitzes. Bringing more people than you can block has been very effective on this drive, Mike.
On the Ross sack as well.
No question on the Ross sack. It was beautifully designed. And to get sacks, it's everyone working in harmony, doing their job. That Ross sack was beautiful. We'll see that one in a little bit.
Again, the storyline coming in tonight is Harrington's on a knee, and Redmond, the 30-year-old, fifth-year player out of Louisville, who's been out of the league for a couple of years, 2 total, hasn't completed a pass in 45 months. Might be getting his first snap since. Bobby Petrino got to know him in 1998. Petrino was the offensive coordinator at Louisville. It might not have to come in because the Falcons did take a timeout. Let's look at Harrington here as he gets hit. Pierce rolls up on that left ankle, but Joey will stay in. Now, Ron, the story coming into tonight were the 2 offensive tackles who had not started a game at tackle and the pressure. And early on, the Giants weren't able to bring that pressure. This drive, it's a whole different story.
Well, you know, we talked about Tyson Clabo and Ronaldo Foster earlier in their matchup. But really, Steve Spagnuolo, the Giants defense, has been successful with their blitzing scheme.
3rd and 26, inside handoff coming. Here it is to Norwood. Gain of a yard. Survived. Justin Tuck and the Giants defense. Impressive series.
You know, we talk about pressure on Joey Harrington. Here you're going to see the defense working in harmony, opening up the lane for Aaron Ross. It's everyone doing their job. This sack was created by the help of Aaron Ross's teammates opening up the lane for him. And I love to use the term working in harmony. You see it right from this angle. Look at that alley open up for Aaron Ross. Does a great job right there. And Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator, loves to come after the quarterback. There's Steve on the sideline. You know, he came from that Jim Johnson system in Philadelphia where they use those overload zone blitzes. They're blitzes, but they're safe. They keep the safety in center field in case you do beat the blitz by the quarterback getting the ball out of your hand. It's only going to be a short gain, not that 50, 60-yard explosive play.
See, the Giants took a timeout, 1:46 left, a real chance to get field position, add to their 11-point lead with R.W. McQuarters back, but Umanura, Strahan, Tuck, the rest of the front did the job on that series, and now Michael Kanan will kick it away. McQuarters runs up to make a fair catch on a 40-yard punt, and it's Giants ball at the 45 with no timeouts and 1:39 to go.
I would expect you'll probably see some play-action passing because it's been very effective so far. Here you see the ball extension to Brandon Jacobs. DeMario Williams sucked in on the play fake. He can't get back. Amani Tillman with a touchdown. This is beautifully designed as well. The play-action fake. Eli sets up beautifully in the pocket with maximum protection. He's got Blacksco burst matched against Lawyer Malloy. I should say mismatch against Lawyer Malloy. The play action has been very, very effective for Eli Manning and the New York Giants tonight. 5 for 5. Look at those numbers.
Adding to the numbers we showed earlier, he's such a good passer on play action. Derek Ward is the back. Searching for space, gains only a yard as Jonathan Babineau, who returns to the lineup tonight, comes in and makes the tackle. Strained a right knee ligament against Carolina. Then the Giants out of timeout, 2nd and 10. Manning nowhere to go, trying to check it down to Ward, who couldn't bring it in. It's 3rd and 10.
Now, Mike, this is an area of the game, this part of the game where Eli has struggled. He has thrown 6 interceptions this year. 3 have come in the final 2 minutes before the half. So I would expect right now, if Eli doesn't see a clear throw, he's not going to force a throw. We talked to Coach Coughlin. We talked to Eli yesterday. This is an area they're very cognizant of where Eli has made some mistakes, trying to be too cute sometimes.
Against the 4-man rush on 3rd and 10. Manning throws on the run to Shockey. Jeremy cannot get to the first down. Will the Falcons use a timeout? Giants have it at the 46. It's 4th and 1. Atlanta will just play it out. See what Tom Coughlin will do here.
If they don't get this, the Falcons do get very good field position with about 40 seconds to go.
4th and 1, run with Ward, left side, first down to the 41. Remember, the Giants do not have a timeout. See if they get up and just clock it here. And they will with 28 seconds remaining. So as the Giants get settled for second down, let me remind you, tomorrow night on ESPN at 7 Eastern, E60 premieres. Go inside the world of ESPN's new cutting-edge reporting team. Behind-the-scenes portrait of their reporting experiences, Michael Smith, Tom Ferry, Rachel Nichols, Jeremy Schaap, and Lisa Salters with that, including a sit-down with Cecil Fielder. Remember, Prince Fielder had the huge potential MVP season in the National League. Estranged, essentially, very difficult relationship with Cecil. You'll hear from Cecil. Just one of the stories on E60 debuting tomorrow night on ESPN. Second down, Manning throws, and it's intercepted. There it is again, Ron. In the last two, it's Michael Boley, who had a big defensive play for the Falcons last week. Picks Manning off at the 40-yard line after the return.
It's just that tight window. Once again, Eli trying to squeeze it into Michael Boley, the linebacker for the Falcons, had a nice deep drop. He has been having an outstanding season, oh, by the way, Mike. And you'll see him there just reading Eli. He sees Eli's eyes looking in the middle of the field, and he just reacts to the ball in the air.
Boley's second interception. Now, Morton Anderson doesn't have a long leg. Michael Kanan, the punter, who was a place kicker last year, does. He can kick a 60-yard field goal. So with Joey Harrington back out in some timeouts, the Falcons may be 15 yards away from a field goal attempt.
So they got to get to the 43.
Ward done out of the backfield to midfield. Timeout at Ladzo with 9 seconds remaining. And here's Michelle Tafoya.
Guys, Joey Harrington has a left ankle issue, but obviously he's in there playing. But Petrino had a long talk with him after he hurt that ankle and came to the sideline. And no one really knew until just before that, or just after that interception, who was going to come in and play quarterback. Was it going to be Harrington, or was it going to be Chris Redmond? Redmond had been warming up. Harrington and Redmond both ran up to Petrino, and you could see them saying, who's going in? Who's playing? He finally looked at Harrington and said, are you all right to play? He said, yeah. Threw on his helmet and came in, so Redmond retreated. Even Byron Leftwich was warming up on the sidelines as if in earnest to go. It was quite a scene down here, guys.
Wishful thinking. Byron, the third quarterback here tonight. They need 9 or 10 yards to give Kanan a legit try. He made one from 58 last year. One timeout left, pressure coming. Harrington gets rid of it, gets it to Ward Dunn, who couldn't hang on and was almost intercepted by O.C. Umenyiora, who dropped in his own blitz look. Wow. 1 second left, and Harrington took a shot from the Giants pass rush and Kiwanuka.
Well, Joey's tough. He hangs in there to the last very second. Matthias Kiwanuka drills him into the ground. Quite honestly, the Falcons wide receivers are dumping all over Joey Harrington. How many key balls have they dropped so far? At least 3, Mike. 2 would have been first downs. That would have had a chance to get him in field goal range.
So now it becomes a Hail Mary play for the end zone, and the Giants retreat 7 defenders back. Harrington's got by enough time to throw it downfield, and he launches. Jump ball. Who's going to get it? Didn't reach the end zone. It's intercepted by Aaron Ross, who's pulled down by Roddy White. And we come to the end of the first half. Giants score 3 touchdowns in the first half, get the ball to start the third, lead the Falcons by 11. Here's Chris Berman with the Toyota halftime show. Chris. We're back for the third quarter here in Atlanta. Michelle Tafoya, Susie Colbert on the sidelines. Ron Jaworski, Tony Kornheiser, Mike Tirico here in the booth. The Giants will receive, leading 21-10. The Giants going for 4-2 on the season, which would move them within a game of the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC East. Washington is at 3-2. They've already had their bye week. The Giants' bye comes in a couple of weeks after their game in London against the Dolphins. Ruben drones to take the kick back. And at the 22-yard line, he's brought down. Eli Manning had a very solid first half. As a matter of fact, it was in a passing yards column only a career best with 208 yards, 17 of 25. At one point had a dozen consecutive completions, 2 touchdowns, and that 1 pick coming in the last 2.
By the way, you have tickets for that London game? Think they're hard to come by?
They went pretty quick.
Yeah, they did.
It did go quick.
60,000 in about an hour. They must have thought it was a Led Zeppelin concert.
You plan on going, Tony?
That's across the pond, pal. No.
Bus can't make it.
And from the 23, Brandon Jacobs injured on that initial carry of the first half, gets 5. And here's Susie Colvin.
Mike, Jaws referenced just before the end of the half that that's the time that Eli seems to struggle. And this was the 4th time this season that he's thrown an interception in the last 2 minutes of the half. But Tom Coughlin said to me at halftime, that was clearly not Eli's fault. And I'd like Jaws to be able to comment on that. But he said he also sort of lost his rhythm at the end of the half because they lost the perfect run-pass mix that they've got. The good thing is about Eli this season, he really seems to have more amnesia than in the past, and he can put stuff like that behind him.
Susie, I would beg to differ with Coach Coughlin. That was Eli's poor throw. Boley was back in that lane. He should not have thrown the football.
2nd and 5 with 2 tight end look. Here is Jacobs getting a nice block from Amani Toomer, who held D'Angelo Hall up to get around the side and get a first down at the 48. Gain of 20, and on the offensive line, Chris Snee, who's had a very good season, had a good block on that one.
But there's no question if the Giants' running game is going to be slowed down, the cornerbacks of the Falcons must make some plays. You see Amani Toomer just pushing D'Angelo Hall down the field. The Falcons are in that cover 2 shell, so the corners have to become run defenders, run players. They are not making plays in the running game.
They have to get in front of that guy, Jacobs?
Yes, that's their job.
Look what he weighs. They're not getting in front of him.
Play action, which Manning has been nearly perfect on the night, but was unable to find an open receiver and throws it away. Incomplete. Here's Michelle.
Spoke to Bobby Petrino coming out of the locker room at halftime. He said Joey Harrington is still the starting quarterback. Their discussion before halftime had to do more with protection scheme than anything else. He did acknowledge Harrington sprained his left ankle, but he then said he's our guy, he's good, and he's going to come in and score a quick touchdown. He also said he wants to stay with the running game and stay out of 3rd and long because that's when the Giants do their best work on defense, guys.
We saw that in that last series. Giants just lit up Harrington, and those 2 tackles making their first NFL start at tackle. Watch that when Atlanta gets the ball back. Ruben Drones comes in here, runs to the left, and Jamal Anderson, the number 1 overall pick for the Falcons, 8th overall, I should say, in the 1st round, joins Lawyer Malloy for the tackle.
All right, the Falcons defense has worked hard to get the Giants in the position right now. The 3rd down and the 7 situation. This is where they have not been successful with getting off the field. They're going to need to pressure Eli Manning. In these situations, Eli has been very comfortable in the pocket. No pressure. Looks like Mike Zimmer, the defensive coordinator for the Falcons, is going to turn up the heat right here. He's got 11 players in the box right now.
Everybody at the line. All out blitz, no safety help. So a jump ball for Plex Burris, too high and incomplete. John Abraham closed out on Peyton Manning, and Lawyer Malloy was there as well, and Malloy shake it up.
Well, Abraham has been solid through the first half, and now you see him coming around the corner, getting the pressure on Eli Manning. They came with the total blitz. It was man-to-man on the outside. They brought more defenders, they being the Falcons, than the New York Giants can block. You had Abraham free at Eli Manning, thus the incomplete pass.
You see Lawyer Malloy walking back there, and Jimmy Kimmel's going to join us momentarily here in the booth. Lawyer Malloy, who took a shot to the head as he was going down, he walked over toward the Giants sideline. He was that shake up, and finally a couple of the Giants, Lawrence Tynes, the kicker over there, is like, hey, no, you want to go that way?
You know, I must admit, I've done that a few times. Sorry, Tony.
Well, actually, hold up. How many fingers am I holding up? That's one of those circumstances.
Actually, Tony, at halftime, he was walking into Marv Albert and Boomer Esiason in the Westwood One radio booth, and we were trying to close the door behind him. Jennings is going to let it go, and Jeff Fiegels, he's done it more than anyone in NFL history. Pins his guy inside the 20. Jimmy Kimmel here in Atlanta joins us in the booth when we come back. Joined here in the Monday Night Football booth by Jimmy Kimmel. Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Nice to be close to you.
Hello, everybody. What happened to Joe?
Were you frisking me?
Where's Joe? He was here last time, right?
Yeah, and last time you were here, you asked Joe how his leg was.
Yeah.
And that actually has caused him not to return.
Is that really? Is that what it was?
Yes.
Me? I didn't know. I thought Tony had him fired.
I thought we agreed beforehand you were going to blame that on Jaws.
I had nothing to do with it. He wasn't even here.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Football.
Thank you.
They're playing football, kind of.
They are. Work done gaining just a yard. So do you still do the deal where all your buddies come to the house and you are master chef, the Iron Chef, and cook for all your friends?
I made baked ziti yesterday at the house. Yeah, it was a big favorite there. Yeah, I make a lot of things. You guys should come by.
We will.
I know you're on the road a lot, but come by. Why not?
Baked ziti?
Yeah, baked ziti. Boiled it up.
Because it's not kielbasa, you're upset?
Well, we can. I like the wings in Buffalo, you know.
We can do that in San Diego. Christmas Eve, we'll come right up and hang out with you.
Is anyone watching still?
This game?
Yes.
Yes.
Because there's more people in this booth than the stadium.
Joey Harrington called the timeout, so we'll take it with him for a minute. 21-10 Giants. Jimmy Kimmel right back with us.
ESPN's Monday Night Football is brought to you by GMC, official vehicle of the NFL and proud supporter of those who want it more. Capital One's new no-hassle cash rewards. What's in your wallet? Dr. Pepper, with 23 flavors in every Dr. Pepper. There's more to it. And Olivia, award-winning high-definition television.
City that hosted Super Bowl 28-34. Dallas beat Buffalo here. St. Louis beat Tennessee in the Georgia Dome. Falcons just called a timeout. Joey Harrington, a good start, a very good opening drive, but after that, the pressure closing in and lack of support, Jaws, from the receivers.
No question about it. A lot of money invested in those wide receivers. You got to catch the rock.
Well, Harrington's not a great quarterback, but he's very nice to his pets.
Deflected in the air.
And that is what's most important.
Incomplete, as it was Fred Robbins who's made a couple of plays tonight.
You think Joe is watching right now?
I'm sure he is. Joe's a big football fan.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, was my mic cut off on that?
Jimmy Kimmel rejoining us in the booth. Joey Harrington, one of his last 7. And the Falcons offense has come to a grinding halt here.
Yeah, this is a bad game.
Thanks for helping drive the number.
3rd and 8 on the run. First down, much more. Roddy White stays in bounds near midfield.
There's a wide receiver, Jaws. There's a wide receiver holding on.
Well, they caught him in man-to-man coverage. Joey did a great job of hanging in the pocket, waiting for Roddy White to uncover. You'll see him come back under the inside. Does a nice job of getting some separation from Sam Madison and taking it up the sideline. You'll see the quick release. That's the key right there, to beat the bump and run at the line of scrimmage. Roddy White does that and takes off up the sideline, and Jimmy Kimmel knocks him out of bounds. Oh, no, that was Sam Madison who took him out of bounds.
Like I said, this is a great game.
The gain was 38. Falcons with breathing room, and on play action, Harrington looking long. LaRon Robinson, too high, incomplete. Trying to drop it in between the corner and the safety. Jabril Wilson and Sam Madison on that near side. So Jimmy, what do you think of the league so far here with New England and Indianapolis? Clearly the 2 best teams, and everybody else fighting behind them.
That's what they said. They say they're playing in a league of their own, which would be boring, really, if it was just the 2 of them playing every weekend. You know, Eli Manning has a brother in the NFL.
Really? Warren Dunn runs to the left side and gains only a yard. I think we've seen Peyton a time or two.
I once saw him on a commercial. That's how I know.
Really?
Yeah.
Which kept your TV on for 5 seconds and saw the recycle of 10,000 commercials he does?
You're doing something that's bizarre.
Thank you.
Next week. Well, everything you do is bizarre, come to think of it. But you're going to do your show at night and then do the Regis show in the morning?
I'm going to host Regis and Kelly. I'm going to fill in for Regis in the morning in New York and then fly to Hollywood.
You do that for a whole week?
My show for a whole week.
Oh, that's smart. Great. 3rd and 8. Harrington has an open receiver. It's caught, and the veteran Joe Horn has a first down in Falcon territory at the 42-yard line.
Is there any particular reason you would do that other than you can? I mean, why would you do that?
You know what? It really worries me that you guys think it's a bad idea because you guys fly all the time.
Well,
not Tony, but
right, okay.
But I know you guys are all over the country constantly traveling, and I would think that you'd be the few guys that would say, oh, that's not a bad idea, but I'm beginning to worry that it is a very bad idea.
From the 42, they'll try play action again. Harrington waited for Horn, who got tied up, and a marker's thrown. Joe Horn's been in this league 12 years. Aaron Ross has been in this league 5 games. Veteran won that one.
Yeah, Joe Horn was working him over in the sideline as Harrington rolled out. They're going to throw the sideline. And, of course, Joe Horn looking back in the backfield, then took it up the field, and Aaron Ross grabbed him. There you see the out route. Now he's going to take it up the field, and Aaron Ross does a real good job. Hey, I'm not going to let the guy run by me for a touchdown. I'll take the penalty.
When you say that you're pretending to be him, right? You're not saying that yourself, right, Ron? Mike said that?
Yeah. No. Ron said that.
Ron's not listening to you.
For illegal contact, the quarterback ran out of the pocket.
Wow. He grabbed him. That's surprising.
Defensive holding, anything could have been called there. But this no flag. Look at it again.
Yeah, we'll take it right here. Joey with the play action rolls out to his right. He's looking for that out and up. Doesn't have it, but clearly it looked like Aaron Ross just grabbed Joe Horn right there, but they claimed with Harrington outside the pocket. Officials made the call.
We'd like to welcome those of you who've watched the Cleveland Indians defeat the Boston Red Sox 4-2, take a 2-1 lead in the American League Championship Series. Here, the Falcons trailing the Giants 21-10 as Warwick Dunn carries for less than a half yard. Explosive first quarter. Giants took a 14-10 lead. Eli Manning razor sharp in the first. Hit Plexico Burress for a 43-yard touchdown at the beginning of the second quarter. Their 8th touchdown hookup of the year, tying Moss and Brady for the most in the NFL. And that's where we sit. 21-10. The Falcons are 1-4 under first-year coach Bobby Petrino. Giants started 0-2, looking for their 4th consecutive win to get within a game of the Cowboys in the NFC East.
Also like to welcome Joe Theismann, watching from his living room with steam coming out of his ears.
3rd and 10 for Harrington, who is pressured and sacked. For the 4th time tonight, Umanura was there, but Justin Tuck, the 3rd-year man out of Notre Dame, finishes him off.
Yeah, you'll see O.C. Umanura now. You're going to get L.J. Crumpler out. That's a tight end trying to block Umanura. Now he gets a little help from Foster. Not going to get it done. Too much pressure on Joey Harrington. Now, again, excellent job of just compressing the pocket by the Giants defense in their 4-man rush. When you get in that long yardage situation, you can use that mush rush.
Michael Keenan with the kick. Fair toss by R.W. McQuarters at the 13-yard line. 37-yarder. And the Giants will take over at their own 13. Giants play San Francisco next week, trying to get there with 4 consecutive wins. Leading here 21-10.
Can I go back to the logic, Jimmy? Well, I'll do it after this play. I want to ask about you commuting from L.A. to New York where you do both shows.
Sure. Jimmy Kimmel, of course, of his late-night show on ABC, joining us here in the booth in Atlanta. Jimmy Kimmel Live on your ABC station, usually after Nightline. Jacobs a gain of about 3.
I just sort of wondered if there were no cameras in New York. I mean, if you had to leave because there was a union thing, you had to go back and do the other show.
No. There's cameras in almost every city, Tony. You should
well, just stop anywhere. Then, or maybe I thought you were just renting by the day and you wanted to make sure you didn't get evicted.
Here's the thing. I like to be on television as much as possible. I'm going to be co-hosting The View after I'm done with Regis and Kelly, and then I might be on a soap.
Could use you on PTI, by the way.
I'd be happy to be there.
2nd and 5. Jacobs will get the first down, tripped up by Chris Houston. Here's Steve Levy, SportsCenter 30 and 30.
Michael, thank you. As you mentioned, all over in Cleveland, but here are some of the pretty pictures, like Kenny Lofton going big fly. That made it a 2-0 Cleveland lead. They go on to beat the Red Sox 4-2, lead the series 2-1. Tim Wakefield, not Josh Beckett again for Game 4 tomorrow night. As for the National League, Rockies and Diamondbacks, they're playing the NLCS right now. Rockies going for the sweep. They are threatening Diamondbacks at Chris Young, picked off in the first. Stay current with ESPN News, SportsCenter after the game. Mike?
Thank you, Steve. The amazing Rockies, they've won 20 of their last 21 games, 1 win away from their first ever World Series appearance. Giants 1st and 10. And Manning one more time, complete to Burris. The ball comes out, but the play is blown dead. Whistle blows forward progress on this play, stopping it as a gain of 8 yards. Bobby Petrino agrees with the 60,000 at the Georgia Dome.
Oh, there are not 60,000 people here. There's maybe 6. There were like 40 at the beginning of the game. Thank you.
The replay is obviously going to show the ball coming out, but you heard the whistle before it came out, so it doesn't matter what the replays show in regards to that. The Giants got up to the line quick, ran it for a first down at the 35-yard line. We're right at the line with Brandon Jacobs. It is first down.
Bobby Petrino not a happy camper right now. He felt that was a fumble.
Yeah, but he's biased, definitely.
No question. I would hope so. Let's take a look. You see D'Angelo Hall rip the ball out of the hands of Plaxico Burress right there. But the whistle had blown and forward progress was stopped. Giants retained possession.
The completion was Manning's first of the half. Burris approaching another 100-yard game. Play action. It's Madison Hedgecock out of North Carolina out of the backfield. And the third-year player who was on St. Louis's roster. Waived before the season got started, picks up 8. So with the Dallas loss yesterday to New England, the Cowboys at 5-1. They've already defeated the Giants, who could be within a game. The Redskins have already had their bye. They lost at Green Bay, and Philadelphia beat the Jets. So they're 2-3.
Did you watch that? Did you watch Dallas?
Yeah, I did. My cousin Sal's a big Dallas fan. Very upset. Very upset.
What do you think of Brady?
Of what?
Brady.
What do I think of him?
Yeah.
I mentioned in the pregame show that what impresses me most is he was able to impregnate 2 supermodels at once. That is huge. That beats any Super Bowl ring.
Ruben Drone picked up the first down. Sorry.
Did you guys bet on this game?
No, we bet on the 3rd supermodel's name that Brady would be with.
Are you allowed legally to bet on football games? I mean, I know people that play the game obviously aren't, but what about you guys? You
only offshore. I do it all the time.
Ron, as a former NFL player, are you allowed to bet on the game?
Yes, I could, but I do not.
You don't?
Yeah, if I would be able to pick a winner, I would not be up here.
He actually has me place the bets for him, and that's how it works.
Smart.
At the 47, first down, Manning looking right toward Amani Toomer. D'Angelo Hall with the interception. Gets away from Toomer, has room to run. He's a great return guy. Down the sideline, Hall trying to pick up one more block and can spring him. And Shockey trips him, and that's a flag at the 40-yard line. And I believe this will be a tripping foul on Shockey. Not sure if it's going to be a block in the back or a trip, but Hall loving himself for the interception.
I didn't know you were allowed to show people loving themselves.
Interception. Personal foul, low block, number 80 of the passing team. 15-yard penalty added to the end of the run. First down. Timeout.
Hall goes up to get it, his 2nd of the year, and you can't have a low block if you're the offensive team after a pick, even though you're on defense. You're not allowed to do that by rule, and it cost the Giants 15. Eli Manning talks with offensive coordinator Kevin Gilbride about his 2nd interception here of the night. D'Angelo Hall took it back. The 15-yard flag on Jeremy Shockey brings the Falcons into Giants territory at the 44. And the speed of Jarius Norwood gains 4. Let's go back to that interception.
Excellent coverage by D'Angelo Hall. You'll see him just in that little bail position, and he gets on the hip of Amani Toomer and does a terrific job of running with him. The ball slightly underthrown. D'Angelo had great ball skills, goes up and just takes the football down. But that's a throw. If you're Eli Manning, it's got to be outside, as we say, in the box toward the sideline. But D'Angelo Hall, great catch.
And just to be clear on that blocking issue, the block by Shockey was on Chris Crocker, who was blocking for D'Angelo Hall. That's what you're not allowed to do by going low. Harrington is hit. Algie Crumpler, who's been asking for the ball, dropped it. Incomplete or Susan.
You know, Mike, Tom Coughlin told us how one of Eli's faults maybe is he wants to make everything perfect, and it's not a game of perfect. Well, after that interception, he came to the sideline, and he was furious, shaking his head, cursing repeatedly, but I'm pretty sure it was just mostly at himself.
Second pick. The other one was thrown inside the 2-minute mark of the first half. Meantime, Harrington, who has been pressured and his numbers aren't good, has had very little help from his receivers. Lots of drops tonight. More pressure. Deflected. Incomplete.
And it seems the guys that we're seeing doing the whining this week are doing the dropping tonight.
Matthias Kiwanuka brought the heat that time, and the Falcons sent to the sideline with a chorus of boos. Ross working his way off the field. So, Jimmy, we were talking about, Jimmy Kimmel's up here with us. Just to wrap up with you, you are going to do Regis' show.
Your show. Me out?
Yes, pretty much. Back and forth cross country. Are you co-hosting Regis' show with Kelly?
Yes, Kelly and I, and then Kelly's coming back to L.A. with me, where we'll be married.
She's hot. You did well.
Stop
She's
it.
married. Wow.
Yeah, I know she's married.
She's a soap star, right?
Hey, listen, if we can have a Mormon president, I could marry Kelly also.
R.W. McQuarters with a fair catch at the 8. Yes, this is saying goodbye.
Yes, goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you, and we'll miss you.
Jimmy Kimmel on ABC. Jimmy Kimmel Live late nights. Back after this. Scoreless here in the third. 21-10. Giants on top.
Oh, we've got some emails. How do you rank the great Elis of all time? Eli Wallach, Eli Whitney, Eli Manning. Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin. He's got to go 1, doesn't he, Jaws?
Absolutely.
And then Eli Manning 2 over actor Eli Wallach. But the cotton gin, that was a really big thing.
But I did have Eli Manning in my top 10.
Top 10 Elis.
Top 10 Elis. No, top 10 NFL quarterbacks. Don't try to confuse.
Top 10 NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Not named just Eli.
No.
Wow.
Top 10.
Manning takes over for the Giants at their own 8. Brandon Jacobs carries left side for 5. Keith Brooking the tackle. We were coming back to the Falcons practice on Saturday and went through just a fun exercise of where does Eli Manning rank among quarterbacks?
Yeah. And Mike went through every single team and every single starter, and you had him ranked, I think, 8th.
That's correct.
8th.
That's correct. So that's top 10.
Yes. Yeah. But I think it's higher than we both thought you would rank him.
Well, I don't think
when I was done, I believe you guys bought in, correct?
I thought you'd get there, but I don't think people would think right away Eli Manning is in the top quarter of NFL starting quarterbacks right now.
Well, those that aren't in the know may think that.
Right.
I don't mean to say I know everything, but he's been very solid.
Well, what's interesting about that, though, is the 2 starting quarterbacks out here tonight. Joey Harrington actually had a higher ranking than Eli Manning. So how far do you think Eli Manning can go? How good can he be?
I believe he will be a very, very good quarterback for 10 to 12 years. I just don't think he will ever be a great quarterback.
Do you remember when Dick Duran talked about Trent Edwards and he said he has the demeanor of a quarterback? When you look at Eli Manning, do you say he has the demeanor and stature of a quarterback?
No, and I think it's something that he understands that he needs to work on. That leadership that exudes confidence when you look at Eli Manning. And he has been working on it, and I believe he's gotten better, just like right there.
3rd and 1 pass to Amani Toomer for a first down. in front of Chris Houston to the 32-yard line, 3rd and 1, inside their own 20. They went and threw the ball with the confidence in Manning there.
Well, let's roll with that a little bit, because both Mike and I think that the personality that we see from Eli Manning is a sort of self-protection mechanism. It's hard to be the younger brother of Peyton Manning, the son of Archie Manning. They were big stars. Maybe this suits Eli well. Do you think at some point Eli has to say, enough of that, enough of quiet Eli, I've got to step out in front and jump into the volcano?
I don't know if that will happen, but I believe it should happen. And maybe when he matures a little more and takes more responsibility for that leadership position, I think you will see him step out.
Play action pass, the pressure came, Madison Hedgecock is the outlet, and the fullback takes it to the 40, gets about 7 yards. Just to amplify that, I felt in covering Eli at college and being around him at Ole Miss and having seen Peyton, it was a huge task, and it took a lot of fortitude to go follow your dad at Ole Miss, and as you alluded to in your beginning, Tony, the speed limit at Ole Miss is 18 because that was Archie Manning's number. So it took a lot. So maybe that Eli Manning personality, that stuff seems to roll off of him a little bit easier than it would with Peyton. That was his survival mode and reason he was successful, in my mind, in college and becoming the #1 overall pick. 2nd and 2, Reuben Drones is the back. Toss to the left. David Deal out there blocking, just a yard shy of the first down.
On the subject of Eli, I mean, I don't think you can say this enough, how difficult it is to be Peyton Manning's brother. With everything that Peyton Manning has accomplished and everything that is expected of his brother Eli, that's a rough way to go.
He's 5 years younger, 5 years less in the league, and at this point in his career, how many playoff games had Peyton Manning won?
One, maybe? 1-0.
Zero.
He's won 0.
And at this point in his career.
On the other hand, though, Eli Manning gets the money he gets and is the #1 draft pick, partially because his last name is Manning.
I disagree. No, absolutely
You don't think
not.
people see him as a savior for a team?
Yeah, but not because he's Manning.
Because they hope that genetics that follows Peyton follows Eli through.
He's got talent.
Next Monday night from Jacksonville, the undefeated Indianapolis Colts, the once defeated Jacksonville Jaguars. 5-0 Indy, 4-1 Jacksonville from North Florida. 8:30 Eastern next Monday night. It's the best matchup of the week in the NFL. Two of the top 6 records in the league. As you see, the Patriots moving to 6-0, the Colts off the bye. Packers now at 5-1 after their win over the Redskins, and we'll see the Packers in 2 weeks against Denver, and then after that we'll see the Steelers. So we'll see the best teams in the league on Monday night over the next 4 weeks.
Can't wait till next week. Oh, man.
This is a 3rd and short run. DeMario Williams and Chris Crocker combined to submarine Jacobs, but he falls down past the yellow line. First down for the Giants as this 4th quarter gets underway after a scoreless 3rd. And there's been the story, the Giants' ability to throw it and Atlanta's inability to get passing yards. Ron, would be 2 things, pressure and drops.
No question. The drops have hurt them in the sustaining situations. The 3rd down plays where they could have kept their offense on the field, they had big drops.
There are the numbers through 45 minutes. Jacobs limped off, replaced by Reuben Drones. And Manning for Shockey. Jeremy able to get 2 feet down at the 38-yard line. A first down pickup of 19 yards.
Once again, an excellent throw by Eli Manning. Hung in the pocket for that bow out to Jeremy Shockey. Waited for it to open up. He had to clear the linebacker. It was Michael Boley trying to drop deep into his buzz, but Shockey just got over the top, and a terrific throw by Eli Manning.
Deep into his buzz?
Deep into his buzz, yes. The linebacker should have buzzed deeper there. Wasn't deep enough into his buzz, unfortunately, for Michael Boley. That's like football talk, Tony.
I imagine.
Shockey now 22 catches on the season. He's been somewhat under the radar this year for the Giants. To Amani Toomer, who has been busy enough tonight to make a couple of dents in the Giants record book. That's the 6th catch for Toomer, the 586th of his Giants career, and that ties Tiki Barber for the most receptions in Giants history at 586. Earlier tonight, Toomer tied Kyle Rote for the most touchdown receptions in Giant history with 48. And there he is tied with Tiki for the reception mark.
That's a pretty good career.
Well, fittingly, his next reception would be a touchdown, so he can break both records in one fell swoop. On play action, Eli look left cover, comes back, and there is the record for Amani Toomer. No player in the long and storied history of the Giants has caught more passes than the 12th year man taken in the second round of the 96 draft out of Michigan, Amani Toomer.
Once again, you see the stem at the top of the route. Sticks that right foot in the ground. That's the hint, the indicator to Eli Manning that he's coming out of his break. And Eli anticipates that break and delivers the ball right between the 8 and the 1. But the key was the outstanding job by the New York Giants offensive line. Once again, Eli very comfortable in that cradle.
Toomer, 19 catches all year, 7 catches and a touchdown tonight. This is Derek Ward, stopped for a loss of 3, and here's Schuster.
This week I asked Amani Toomer about breaking that record. He said, honestly, I don't really think about that stuff. He says, I don't think about competing against the guys who used to play the game. He said, right now, I'm only interested in the guys who are active, who are on the field every day. But certainly, this would be a special moment.
Well, much was made 2 years ago when they played the Raiders, and Amani Toomer did not have a catch in that game and stopped a consecutive games with catch streak. But when he didn't catch one against the Jets, it was not a big deal. Just kind of shows you how things are, maybe the temperature down just a little bit in that Giants locker room this year. More of a team attitude. Manning, the bump on Toomer. Was he able to hang on? D'Angelo Hall and Lawyer Malloy negotiating for an incomplete call. The whistle is not to do with the play, but pushing after the play. And best we can tell, it's been marked a reception at the 6.
What's interesting about the conversation on Toomer is that when you think of the Giants, you think he's almost overshadowed. I mean, you think of people with huge personalities like Barber, like Strahan. You look at Shockey, and you think, I would not have realized that.
Well, it looks like the Falcons are going to challenge that. And on that first look, I think he may have held on to it. It was cradled between his knees, and then he tried to get that hand under the point of the ball. So it was very close.
Atlanta is challenging the ruling on the field that the pass was caught.
Very close to a reception. So they'll check it with a challenge by Atlanta. A closer HD, high-definition look at this. Did he get that hand under the point of the ball?
ESPN's Monday Night Football is brought to you by Toyota, moving forward. Alltel Wireless. Take the head-to-head challenge at alltelcircle.com. DLP, it's amazing. It's the mirrors. And the new NFL.com. NFL.com is the only place on the web for game highlights. Check it out, only at NFL.com.
Some of the images of this Monday night in Atlanta, where the Giants lead the Falcons 21-10, and they're driving for another touchdown. We have a review of an Amani Toomer catch, no catch here. Bill Levy, the referee, looking at this Atlanta challenge, and I thought going to break that it was a clean catch. I thought Toomer was able to get his hand underneath.
Yeah, it appeared Amani Toomer did a great job. Although he was bobbling the ball did not touch the ground. You'll see the ball coming down, sliding down, but the ball never touches the ground. Right there, he gets his hand underneath the football. You can see the great camera work by our guys. And see Amani Toomer does hold on to the football. From this angle, it did not touch the ground. I believe it will be a catch.
Or the lack of evidence to overturn it. The ruling on the field was a catch.
Right.
And again, this year, with the replay system becoming permanent in the National Football League, high definition looks for the referees so they can really see the detail up close. And here's Bill Levy.
After reviewing the play, the ball slipped through the receiver's hands. It did touch the ground. It's an incomplete pass.
Well, I'm wrong.
With the timer put 11:33 on the game clock. 11:33. Ball will be third down on the 12-yard line. Atlanta will not be charged a timeout.
I'm speechless. And that's a first.
And that hurts us in the booth if you stop talking. That does. It really does. It makes it a two-man deal.
You've got the football, Tony. Go right ahead.
Mike may be speechless also.
No, I'm just wondering if our monitor's not high def. I was sitting right in front of that. My face is up on the TV.
It really looked like
I don't see it touch, but it's third down and the Giants can get a first down inside the 2. Drive that has taken nearly 8 minutes. Eli comes down to Sonaris Moss. Didn't get the blocking downfield to help him. Rookie Chris Houston, second rounder for this year's draft out of Arkansas, brings the Giants field goal unit on. And it's Lawrence Tynes, the first Scottish-born player in the National Football League. Kicked in Kansas City for 3 years and replaced Jay Feely here as Jay Feely moved on to Miami. Didn't kick much during his late part of summer as he and his wife gave birth to premature twins who are doing well. Tynes from 32 knocks that through.
Do you think that in Scotland he kicked in a kilt? And under that prepared him for the NFL? What do you think?
No. 24-10, the Giants on top. Last year, the Giants started 6-2, and they had a 5-game win streak from early October through November 5th. And it all fell apart in the second half of the season, finishing 8-8, beating Washington in the last game of the regular season to get in the playoffs, then losing the wild card game to Philadelphia. See, Jarius Norwood can bring his long run ability to the kicking game. There's Tynes. They've mixed up their kickoffs, different short ones, line drives, to try to help their coverage, which has struggled in past weeks, and they stop Tynes at the 28. Joey Harrington comes out for the Falcons at quarterback. Of course, he is in because of everything that happened to Michael Vick in the news this week. Michael Vick, his contract, obviously because he's under suspension, going back to all the dogfighting issues, I beg your pardon. He had bonuses paid to his contract that amounted $37 million. The Atlanta Falcons have the right to go after some of that money and were ordered in court to have Michael Vick repay the Falcons just under $20 million of that money. Norwood first down run, slips and falls, gains a yard and a half. Now, there is another look in the legal system coming with that Michael Vick ruling that has been appealed, will be appealed. Aaron Ross is down for the Giants, so we have a moment here. So that's the next step for the Falcons. Can they recoup that money?
Yeah.
And people out there are saying, why? Why are they going after this money when this guy's already got enough issues on his plate?
Well, first of all, there's a question, is the money out there? I mean, and can they get it? One of the reasons to go after it, I asked Arthur Blank before the game, said, is there any thought that if you do physically get this money, that you might rebate season ticket holders who would have bought season tickets based on Michael Vick? He said, that's not the plan, but the plan is to bring the money back into the team, to plow it back into the team, to sign free agents, and to extend the contracts of good players on this team. But, Mike, there's a salary cap issue as well.
Yeah, it's a huge cap issue. This tough throw is another drop. The Falcons receivers have dropped several balls here. LaRon Robinson not hanging on to that one. Michael Vick, and you saw Rich McKay there next to Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons. Michael Vick counted as 15% of the salary cap for the Atlanta Falcons a couple of years ago, last year, this year, and going forward. If the Falcons don't go after this money, as they did, and the first ruling was yes, it'll be appealed. If they don't, that means they're going to start their next year, the salary cap, minus 15%. In other words, they would be at a 15% disadvantage compared to the rest of the teams in the league if they don't go after the money. Harrington's pressure, this pass is caught. Let me just get these legal points straight because it's very confusing. Michael Jenkins caught that ball, and the Falcons will punt. They're short of the first down. If they don't get the money actually repaid by Michael Vick, they don't get the salary cap credit, thus have to work at that 15% deficit. If they get the money, let's say, in January or February, it counts towards the cap the next year. So there's a lot of salary cap machinations, but they're not being mean about it. If they don't go after the money, then they have a 15% salary cap deficit to deal with.
I have to say I don't really understand that, why they have to get the money in hand. If they get a ruling that says they are owed the money, why do they have to get the money in hand to get cap relief?
Giants scored 14 in the first, 7 in the second. A field goal here early in the fourth. They have a 14-point lead on Atlanta. Falcon offense has come to a complete stop from the end of the first quarter on. Eli Manning
will try to work some clock as they did in the last drive. Reuben Drones, a good add to this Giants team via trade. And a gain of 9 yards, a yard shy of the first down. Let's go back to that point we were talking about Michael Vick.
It seems to me if you have to get the money in hand, it's a double jeopardy situation from Atlanta. Not only do they lose Michael Vick, but they don't get what I think should be sort of paperwork cap relief once they get the judgment. That they have to go chase the physical money and show the cash to the NFL? Isn't that a double penalty for them?
Then they're hurt on expending the money to sign other players, which really is the key, to have the cash in hand for signing bonuses. Because this team is a long way away right now. They need players.
Gain of a couple of yards for Drones there. And that's the uncomfortable spot that the Falcons are going to be in. Michael Vick is going through his legal case, and the next time we're down here, December 10th, will be the day of sentencing, going back to all the charges that were handed down in August and the bombshell that Bobby Petrino had to deal with. But the PR deal for the Falcons is this. This Michael Vick icon, you have to now go after him for the money to try to help rebuild your team. That means signing a new quarterback. That means building your franchise, keeping some of the veterans who you want to keep. It's going to put them in another uncomfortable PR spot, but one they have to because of the league rules. And they're going to have to spin it as, we're taking the money and investing it back in the team. That's why we're going to Michael. We're not trying to hurt Michael in any further way.
You cannot tell the story about the 2007 Atlanta Falcons or that man, Bobby Petrino, without talking about Michael Vick. From the day that Michael Vick was indicted and left this team, these people have walked around with umbrellas over their heads because of all the rain falling from the sky. The veterans had to answer questions, like Algie Crumbler had to answer questions about Michael Vick all the time. Petrino walks in, a new coach, much tougher than the last coach. The veterans back away from him. They start losing right away. They want to get to 2008, it seems to me, and they can't get there soon enough.
But you know what? 2nd and 8, Shockey with the catch here to the 32.5-yard line. Be 3rd and about 2 coming up.
You know, that being said, I'm still not sure or convinced that Michael Vick was the right fit for Bobby Petrino's style of offense. This is a spread style of offense. 4 and even 5 wide receivers on the field. That means the quarterback must process information quickly, get the ball out of his hand quickly, and throw accurately. Those are not the attributes of Michael Vick. He was an exciting player, maybe the most exciting ever to play the game, but the sustained offense in Bobby Petrino's style of offense, I'm not sure Michael Vick was a fit for it. I know the guys they have now are not. Byron Leftwich and Joey Harrington are not the guys that are going to carry the future of this football team.
False start on David Deal, the left tackle.
Start. Number 66 offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
And 3rd and 8 will give the Falcons some hope. Well, so what's going on down the line here? Who are the quarterbacks who will be free agents after this year? That's the next question.
I think the first thing you look at are the available free agents. That's a pretty good list right there. I mean, you still have Tony Romo right at the top of that list. I'm not sure that Jerry Jones is going to let that happen down in Dallas.
That's not happening.
Right, that's not happening, right? Yeah. But if you can't get a guy via the free agency, it becomes your top priority in the draft. I believe the quickest way to become a winning franchise is get a quarterback that you can count on to be your quarterback for a decade or 12 years.
Like Manning, who has 3rd and 8. His throw is caught by Moss. Sonaris got D'Angelo Hall first, Keith Brooking last, and any glimmer of hope for the Falcons stay alive as they get the Giants to punt.
One of the things that Petrino said, and you get off to a bad start, and of course everybody's always asking you, did you make the right decision in going to the pros, and have you lost the locker room, and what's going on? One of the things Petrino said in response to that is everybody here is pressing so hard to win, we need to relax. This game can't help them relax. This is a total breakdown in the second half.
And what bothers me, Tony, is the guys that were the ones making the comments were the ones that played poorly tonight. So maybe those guys ought to be focused on their job, not the job that Bobby Petrino's doing. Are all those
do you clean them out, Jaws?
Yes.
Do you in fact take all the veteran stars and clean them out?
These guys that are running their mouth right now are being focused on. Unless they start playing better, they will be gone.
Falcons have New Orleans in New Orleans next week. Saints finally getting a victory. And we'll see the return match of that on December 10th here in Atlanta. Falcons still have 5 division games left. They were hoping to get this one, get to 2 and 4. Harrington out of the pocket to Warren Dunn. Only a gain of a yard or so. Remember, Byron Leftwich was the number 3 quarterback tonight. Last week, Leftwich came in the fourth quarter when Harrington had been battered by that fierce front of the Tennessee Titans, including Albert Hainsworth, who was fined $7,500 for one of his hits. That pass incomplete. Here's Michelle.
Well, guys, I talked to Byron Leftwich, and Jaws, you may not think he's ready to take over this team, but he disagrees. He said, I am not a backup in this league. I expect the opportunity to compete while I'm in the process of learning this offense. I'm trying not to get frustrated so that when my number is called, I'm ready. I prepare like a starter because I don't know any other way. I know I'm here for a reason, but for now, I'm just focusing on the game plan week to week. He believes he's here, Jaws.
Michelle, he has to believe that. He's got that uniform on. He's the guy that wants to play. But this system is not designed for his talents. He's a deep drop quarterback that likes to chuck it down the field. This is a quick drop passing game. I don't think he's the right fit for this style of offense. I love his attitude. Hey, if I'm the QB, I want to play.
Good luck. Go ahead. You try throwing from your backside all day. And that's what it's been since the end of the first quarter. It's been a giant series of pressure, plus the 4 or 5 drops. Harrington 5 of his last 18, and Kanan punts it away with R.W. McQuarters waiting and fair catching at the 32-yard line. Well, Leftwich was on that list that we showed before break of the free agents that are out there after this season. Then the next question you said, Jaws, who are the top quarterbacks out there? And this is Mel Kiper's list in order, as Mel currently has them ranked, of senior quarterbacks, not including any juniors that would come up. And obviously the one guy who is the jump-out-at-you man is Brian Brom from Louisville, who Bobby Petrino recruited, has known for a long time. The Brom family was always part of the Louisville chain, including Brom's older brother, Jeff, who was an assistant coach at Louisville under Petrino. So he knows Brian Brom very well, and there are many people around, including the great Paul Hornung, who has told me that he thinks Brom will come into the league and be a superstar. Wow. That's just one person's opinion, but it's Paul Hornung. Paul Hornung has seen him all his life, Paul living in that Louisville area.
And that's fine, but if he's going to be that good, you better get the first or second pick to get him. Because everybody would think, why don't we get Brian Brom? And then it's a question of, how far do the Falcons fall to get that pick? Right, Jaws? And that leads into all the questions about Petrino and the locker room and the veterans and the shakeup of the team. And it becomes a vicious cycle as we go down that road.
2nd and 8 for the Giants, who picked up 1 first down last time. They have dominated every facet offensively tonight. Grady Jackson jumps in.
Encroachment, number 90, defense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Penalty on Grady Jackson. Here's Susan.
Well, it's a good thing that the Giants have 3 running backs to rely on this season. Brandon Jacobs, who's been dealing with a knee injury, missed 3 games earlier this season, suffered a burner tonight, now has an injured ankle. He's being called questionable. Derek Ward, who's been nursing an ankle injury, didn't practice much this week. Well, he re-injured that ankle. He's also called questionable. And then there's Reuben Drones, who scored the touchdown tonight. So certainly in the league today, it's good to have depth.
So many teams with 2 backs. Giants have used all 3, including Drones, who was acquired via trade from Cleveland for Tim Carter, and picks up the first down at the 47. Some thought Drones was going to be the backup spelling Brandon Jacobs, but Derek Ward has emerged to take a little bit of that role.
Can we just look at the Giants just for a second? The Giants started out 0-2. They were giving up 80 points in 2 games, and then 17 in the first half to the Redskins. They looked at that point to be heading for 4-12, and Tom Coughlin looked to be heading for no work at all. Look what they've done now in the last 3.5 games, limiting opponents to virtually no points whatsoever. They're going to win their 4th straight game, and suddenly they are a factor in the NFC. 3 weeks ago, they were almost done.
And I think 2 things have happened. The players began to buy in and understand the defensive system of Steve Spagnuolo, which is a
Reuben Drones off to the races, and Drones stays in bounds and goes to the 9, pick up of 45 yards.
And the other thing that happened was this. They started getting the running game going. The first couple games, it was 70% pass. Now it was runs like this. The power running game, the 36 power, the 37 power, as they're called in the huddle. That's what got this team ignited offensively. They relied not only on Eli Manning to make plays, but they got it in the running game as well.
And they have San Francisco next and Miami after that. And Jaws, they could be looking at 6-2,
which is what they were a year ago.
And this Atlanta team, which has been beat up, sees an injury to one of its better defensive players as Michael Boley is being looked at by the Falcon medical staff as he tried to chase that play down. Here's what the story has been tonight. I mentioned a couple of plays ago, complete domination by the Giants. And other than that one run and first quarter drive, it has been nothing from the Falcons, and the Giants dominant.
Can we look at Tom Coughlin as well? The various themes tonight, both of these teams have parallel themes. They've had coaches who players have been critical of. The Giants seem to be working past that now, that Tom Coughlin has his tribal council, and all the veteran players are happy because he suddenly listens to them when he didn't listen to them for years. Falcons still in that. Both teams looking to replace 1,000-yard rushers who are gone. Giants seem to be accomplishing that with a troika of backs at the moment. Falcons can't run except for that one explosive 60-yard run or something like that. Still aren't getting a lot done. Quarterback issues on both teams. Eli Manning having a much better time of it.
There is no quarterback issue in New York.
Well, people look at him and wonder, when will you be great?
Well, there's a difference between very good and great.
Derek Ward checks back into the lineup, and Ward takes it in as the Giant fans who've moved down to the front rows here at the Georgia Dome celebrate with their team tonight.
My point would be that some of the issues facing both teams, the Giants seem to be overcoming, and the Falcons seem to be punctured by them.
And it's going to take time in Atlanta. It took time in New York. And I've got to give a lot of credit to Tom Coughlin. He has shown flexibility.
Yes.
You alluded to it throughout the telecast. He's listening to his players.
In his 60s, and having been a head coach for a long time, he has changed this year.
Yeah, and I've known Tom Coughlin going back to his days in Philadelphia where he was an assistant coach. He could be a tough guy, but he's changed.
31-10 Giants, SportsCenter 30-30. And here's Steve.
All right, Michael, thank you. Earlier tonight, the Indians opened up a 2-1 series lead. The ALCS doubled up the Red Sox 4-2. Kenny Lofton gave them an early 2-run home run off Daisuke Matsuzaka. Tim Wakefield, by the way, will pitch tomorrow in Game 4. As for the NLCS, Arizona trying to avoid being swept tonight. Connor Jackson and RBI. Diamondbacks lead the Rockies 1-0 as they play the top of the fourth. Stay current with ESPN News. SportsCenter's coming up, Mike.
And after the game on SportsCenter, full recap from here in Atlanta with Stu and Emmett and Steve Young on hand. And NFL Primetime follows after SportsCenter. Trey Wingo and the guys, a full recap of Week 6 in the NFL. You guys were talking about Tom Coughlin and this turnaround in personality. Very interesting. Go back to the end of last season and a meeting with his family, his wife, and a couple of his 4 children, and discussing about the Tom Coughlin who the Giant players don't get to see sometimes. The Tom Coughlin who, when his grandchildren are around, is on the floor playing with them, happy and warm and very affable. And the Giants didn't see much of that. And that's what you've alluded to, Tony. For the people who don't know what you've been talking about with this tribal council, it was the idea to put together an entire group of players, a leadership group, which has happened on so many different teams. Sometimes that can be just a pacifier, if you will, for players who are venting and whining. What it's done for the Giants is it's given the players a voice with Coughlin. He's listened, and he took them for a bowling night in training camp this year, and the players were shocked. They couldn't believe that. So he truly has changed his ways. A return by the fullback Ovi Mahele takes it to the 32-yard line.
Here's the Leadership Council, which I like to refer to as the Tribal Council because I used to watch Survivor a lot. 10 guys, 10 of the Giant players, meet with Coughlin every Friday. They vent a little bit. They ask for small things, and Coughlin listens. And it's important to hear Coughlin's words. He said, I've been a tunnel vision guy. Football, football, football. Says this has been better. I end up spending more time with the players. The players are stunned. They thought he didn't want to spend any time with them. And he said, Coughlin said, I didn't want to be the issue. The end of last year was ridiculous. This was something I needed to work on. I'll tell you a Michael Strahan story about this, because Strahan was particularly critical of Coughlin as years went by. And Strahan said, I would talk to Tom, and he'd say, I hear you. But Strahan said, I didn't really think he heard. And I said the following thing, you say you hear me, but you're losing the team. Do you hear that? And after a while, like water dripping on a rock, finally, it seemed to get through to Tom Coughlin. And this year has been much better in his relationships with the players. Again, in his 60s, and a coach for a long time. Strahan said, last guy on earth I thought would change.
61 years old, screen to Jarius Norwood with a lot of room to run across midfield into the 47-yard line. Remember what Tom Coughlin is all about. Tom Coughlin grew up in a very small town in upstate New York, Waterloo, New York, watching the Giants and Cleveland Browns on black and white TV when there was only one game on TV. So he was old school through and through. When he came through at Boston College, they really needed to be knocked around and kind of put in the right spot. He did that as a disciplinarian. When he went to Jacksonville, he was the most successful expansion coach really in the history of North American professional sports, taking the Jaguars twice to the championship game in the AFC in their infancy. And he was hired, remember, almost 2 years before they played a game. So that's the only way he knew, and it worked. He got here, it didn't work, needed to adjust, it finally does, and that'll make it 6 drops with Michael Jenkins putting one down.
Well, I mean, to continue with that, when you're coaching New York, your job's on the line all the time because of the incredible media pressure. There were a lot of people that thought Tom Coughlin would not retain his job after last year when they lost 6 of their last 8, sort of limped into the playoffs, lost in the first round, and he retained it, I think, for 2 reasons. One, that he's the first coach to go to the playoff 2 years in a row since Parcells, and John Mara knew what a close relationship he had with Wellington Mara, but he comes back a changed man this year.
Well, however, here's the key, Tony. He's a good football coach. Oh, sure. That's where it starts. And I think the fact that he showed some flexibility in dealing with the players was key. Now, the other thing I'd like to add, in today's NFL, the head coach is an executive now. He's a CEO. The players normally have very little interaction with the head coach. They're with their coordinators, they're with their position coach for the majority of the time. So the fact that, Tom was this warm and fuzzy guy they all wanted to go out and, bowling with, maybe bothered the players. And I'm glad he did change. Don't get me wrong on that. But I also think it's not that important. Bill Belichick's not warm and fuzzy either, but the players will go to war for him anytime.
Harrington finally has time to throw, tries to fit in a very small window for LaRon Robinson. Incomplete with 2:23 to go. One of the Giants have ahead. They have the game against San Francisco on Sunday at the Meadowlands, and then they go to Wembley in London to play the Dolphins. Then the bye week, and then you'll see the division games start to line up. Trip to Detroit, Minnesota, then the back end, Eagles and Redskins and Cowboys one more time apiece on the schedule, and of course closing with the Patriots.
Going for 16-0 at that point, Mike.
Call me,
here we go. Don't start.
Call me in November.
Don't start.
Call me in November.
I got to have the turkey in the oven before we start talking 16-0.
Harrington's throw is incomplete. Now on 4th down, the Giants will take over on downs. And when you play this thing all the way out with the Patriots, that's the other issue. Will the Patriots have anything to play for if they're 14-0? So there are 3 big hurdles. A couple of regular season games for the Patriots. Then do they get to 14-0, let's say? They're certainly not going to have anything to play for in the AFC East. They might have the division, the bye, the conference wrapped up. Do you keep going for 16-0? And if you even brought that up within 3 zip codes of Bill Belichick, he'd pull the sweatshirt over his head and say, go away.
Absolutely.
And I agree with him.
But there is a game on the schedule where New England goes to Indianapolis. And it's conceivable.
Yes, it is.
That they would be.
No, everyone's forgetting about Indy. Indy's a very good team. I'm excited we get to see him next week.
Absolutely.
Anthony Wright, who is the number 2 quarterback tonight for the 2nd week in a row, not Jared Lorenzen, comes in. So Eli Manning's night is done. Ruben Drones loses 2 yards, and that'll take us to the 2-minute warning here in Atlanta. Giants on their way to a 4th consecutive victory, handily dominating the Falcons tonight. We remind you to stay tuned for SportsCenter. Coming up next, we'll have Kenny Mayne, Scott Van Pelt, the GMC Monday Night Football postgame. Steve Young, Emmett Smith, Stu Scott here in Atlanta, breaking down Tom Brady. He's good. There's a breakdown right there.
Breaking news.
And highlights of reaction Game 3 in Cleveland, where the Indians took a 2-1 series lead in the American League Championship Series on the Red Sox tonight. Sports Center to follow. Drones carries to the 48. Eli Manning, a great night tonight.
Well, he was stroking it, as Tony likes to say. There's a great throw to Amani Toomer. Here, the play action coming back over the top. Toomer, the touchdown. I love this one. The deep throw, the Plaxico Burress off the play action. Maximum protection. Eli putting it on the hands of Plaxico Burress. Outside of those 2 interceptions, one just before the half, his 4th one this season in the last 2 minutes of the half. But other than that, Eli Manning looked very, very sharp.
And you know what the question will be in tomorrow's New York papers? Can he do it again next week? It'll be the has he turned the corner question,
why are you
which he always faces.
so tough? Why just can't you enjoy the moment?
No, writers don't enjoy the moment. Writers look towards the next moment and try to crush someone. That's what we do, Joe.
You're worried about selling a newspaper tomorrow.
I got a good one coming up here for old-time Giant fans.
What time?
Like over the age of 45.
Like me.
So hang on to this for a second. 2 good ones in Giants history coming up. Oh, yeah, penalty here. He'll leave you with the call. One thing Tom Coughlin will be unhappy about, the penalties tonight. A half dozen. They've been averaging 4 per game.
False start, number 39, offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
With this win, the Giants will get to a spot where only 2 franchises are, the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers. This will be the Giants' 600th all-time National Football League win, and it will be done with a big yard advantage. They've gained 259 more yards in this game than the Falcons. The last time the Giants won a road game by outgaining their opponent by 259 yards, the Allie Sherman Giants of 1961. How about that?
Allie Sherman, my man from the NFL matchup show in those formative years.
That's right. The pre-Monday Night Countdown NFL Prime Monday days on ESPN. There's Steve Tisch on the sideline standing in front of Jeremy Shockey, part of the Tisch Nara family, the next generation that's taken over ownership of the Giants. And Steve Tisch was telling me before the game about the stadium that's being built next to Giant Stadium. The Jets and Giants will share. Some of the luxury suites there are going to be shared, so people can buy luxury suites for 20 games and go to the Jets home games and the Giants home games, and those have gone very quickly. And Steve is bringing more celebrities around the Giants. He's trying to give the Giants kind of that Lakers feel in some way, where it's a hot celebrity ticket and people will be around this Giants franchise.
Like Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, I could give him Kimmel's cell phone, and maybe that would work.
You could have some baked ziti, served in the boxes.
Giants is 61. Frank Gifford was on that team.
Eagles is fair caught at the 10. That was that game, by the way, in 61. We were talking about that was the first game played at what is now RFK Stadium.
Against the Redskins.
Yes, it was. So next week we see Peyton Manning and the Colts take on David Garrard and the Jaguars. 5-0 Indy, 4-1 Jacksonville. The Colts coming off their bye week last week. They hope to get Marvin Harrison, Joseph Adai, and Bob Sanders back. They were out last week. Peyton is rested and ready.
You know what you said about Brady, that he's good? So's he.
Absolutely.
So's he.
Tom's got 21 touchdowns with Peyton's record in sight. 49. Joey Harrington's numbers are poor. His support has been worse tonight.
It's been one of those days that you dread. Receivers get open, they drop the ball. Joey's having a tough time squeezing the ball into tight windows. His pass protection is breaking down. These are nights you like to forget if you're a quarterback.
That was one of the headlines, though. How would the rookie undrafted tackles do? How would the young offensive line do? You've watched the whole game. How did they do?
Not very well. I thought early in the game they played well. They got some big plays out of the running game, but for the most part, they were worn down by the Giants' pass rush. And I thought Steve Spagnuolo did a great job designing some pressures in that second quarter that forced some turnovers.
Giants trying to get one more turnover there, but they will not. 78 seconds to go. Spagnuolo, the Giants' first-year defensive coordinator. coming over, as Ron mentioned, from Philadelphia. I love what Tom Coughlin said about him. I liked that he didn't have any easy jobs on the way up. Something Coughlin was able to relate to early on in his days. Martez Milner, the tight end, brings it in for Atlanta.
You know, as a coach in this league, you work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, about 11 months out of the year, and you get very little credit. It's always good to give some credit to these guys that bust it every single day, like guys like Steve Spagnuolo and coaches on both staffs.
Michael Jenkins up the middle to the 47-yard line. That's the one thing about teams that lose. You know, their coaches don't get any credit. They work just as hard, and they go back to work even harder the next day to figure out what went wrong.
Yeah, and it's not a fun place to go to work after you get it handed to you like the Atlanta Falcons have had it handed to them tonight.
Jarius Norwood down at the 33. So this will continue the bizarre streak of 12 consecutive wins in the Giant Falcon series by the road team. And there's absolutely no reason why. The game's final play, barring a defensive foul, is incomplete. Giants move to 4-2. Falcons to 1-5. Final score here in Atlanta: Giants 31, Falcons 10. Sports Center is on the way next with the GMC Monday Night Football postgame report. Tony Kornheiser, Ron Jaworski, Michelle Tafoya, Susie Culver, Mike Tirico. We say thanks to all the women and men on our great Monday Night Football crew. And thank you for joining us for this presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Next Monday night, it's the Colts and the Jaguars.
See you in Jacksonville.